Morning, Mr. Sinha. Can you hear me?
Is actually
Very high. You're right.
I guess you're doomed if you do it. If you're doomed if you don't do it. If they conduct elections, they are in trouble. If they don't do it, they are in trouble. So
yeah, I know it's a tough situation.
the devil and the deep sea.
Deep sea. Dead sea, you can float.
See,
The whole
ideally
thing
speaking, they should
alive.
have declared a president's rule, put all the states under president's rule, say 6 months president's rule, and then elections after that. But nobody will
No,
agree.
the hope is that the new government would probably change the situation and maybe make it better. So we live in that hope.
I know. Good morning, everyone else who has joined.
Welcome to this workshop. We have requested anybody who's joining in, please introduce yourself on chat. So we will save some time. Otherwise, if we go with one-to-one introductions, we'll probably need 15-20 minutes in the first hour. And I think that's valuable time.
We can remember people if it's on the chat.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So, Dr. Lakshmi, if you can introduce yourself, where are you from? Yeah, which institute?
Also, if you can put your video on if possible, or at least a photograph of yours so that we can see people.
Well, I think in the first 10-15 minutes, if people are on, that should be adequate because possibly people have a lot of other activities which they need to take care of during the session. So maybe the first 10 minutes, if people have their video on, we would also like to take a snapshot and store it as a memory of all the participants and maybe share it with you too.
So, friends from the US joined, Raj?
Not yet. I think they had expressed their apprehension that they may not be there for all the sessions. I said we're going to share the recordings. So if they do, it'll be nice. But if they don't, along the way, we'll see them.
Yeah. Our friends from Singapore, from Philippines, do you have the names and which location they are?
Yeah. I think Dr. Kirti is from Singapore. She's joining in from Singapore, right? Dr. Lakshmi?
Number on say email. You have to call or open the email first. After booking is over.
Hello.
Get started the seminar.
Dr. Lakshmi, welcome. Good to see you.
Yeah, thank you. Good to see you all.
You're from Singapore?
Yes.
Oh,
right
great.
now I'm staying in Singapore with my family. But I'm the alumni from Sri Venkateswara University.
Okay. Good to have you.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Good to have in the group. Yeah.
We see a very patriotic flag in your background.
Thank you so much. I guess it's my son did it.
Okay. Yeah.
What is the situation in Singapore? Is it under control?
Right now it is a bit in control because the policies the government is taking care of is very nice, and we are feeling a bit safe when we think about our home country, and we are a bit worried, but here we are a bit safe.
Is it life as usual, or is it again restrictions, lockdowns?
Yeah, for children, for school going children, everything is as normal as how we were before. In that case, the kids are lucky here, but still they are wearing the mask. I mean, all through the day, and it's tough for them.
It's hard,
Yeah.
So welcome, Ms. Savita from DJ Coconut Farms. Can you hear us?
Mr. Vijayan and others can also introduce themselves on the chat.
Hi, good morning. Am I audible?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes, you are, Mr.
Hi,
Nirmal.
yeah, I am Nirmal Vijay. I am from AO Smith, India Water Products Private Limited. We are a US-based water products manufacturing organization. I'm a part of the HR team, so I take my core responsibilities learning and development and campus hiring and new employee orientation program as well as employee engagement. And I'm a part of HR operations team as well.
Great.
Thank you, Mr. Vijay. May I request you to just put a little bit of your profile on the chat so that those who are joining us late can also be acquainted with
Yeah,
who
sure.
you are and where you are joining. So
Sure,
welcome,
sure.
welcome,
Thank you, sir.
Sarath. Sarath is joining us from Howard University in the
Wow.
US. I'm glad you could make it on the schedule.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good, good,
Just to,
good to see you, Sarath. What about your colleagues? Are
uh,
they
I think they said they would try and join in from day 2 because
okay?
the time kind of conflicts. So it's kind of difficult 4 days straight going from 11 o'clock at night till 3 here. So they said they'll try and join from day 2.
All
What
right,
time
all
is it
right.
now? What time
Yeah.
is it?
Here it's 11:30 at night. So
Oh, my.
Okay, so we are really pushing it, pushing Sharad
well,
to stay up.
just to make sure I stay up, I thought I would just have some cereal to get into the flow. Try and see
Okay.
if that works. Let's see.
Most welcome.
So,
And we
Sharad, not to
appreciate your
worry. Yeah.
we appreciate your interest, Sharat, that you are willing to stay awake at night across continents to know a little more about HR analytics.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. I look forward to the session.
So those who are joining us now, Mr. Ashish, welcome. Can we request you to just put a short introduction on the chat? So as people join in, they can scroll up and look up the profiles. We'll of course share with you also the complete list of participants. I mean, if it's all right with everybody, with your email IDs, so that amongst you also there can be communication. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yes? All right. So I will share the email IDs with the names and the company profiles. We have about 70% participants from companies, 30% are academics. So those who are from companies, I think there'll be a rich learning experience in the interaction amongst yourselves. While we bring in maybe the data and the analytics perspective, and those from academics, I think you have a wealth of experience out there you can tap into. So I will just share the email IDs, maybe not the mobile numbers. I think on the mail you can communicate, and if the other party is willing to share their mobile numbers, you can take that communication forward. Okay.
Normally, in our other programs in the past, people have formed a WhatsApp group among the participants, and then they kept sharing, and I also would share post the program any interesting snippets or informations. We keep that alive. But as Professor Rajendra Desai said, it's voluntary. If you want to join the WhatsApp group, you could always join that.
So Ranjan, will you create it? Shall I go ahead and create one?
You create one because you have all the
Okay.
details of people. You can
Okay.
get it organized and then create, and who is interested, we can join. You can send invites and they can join.
Yeah. So feel free not to, join the group if you, because I think all of us are in maybe 200 WhatsApp groups, and one more adds to the number of messages, and it can be an irritant. So please feel free to join or refuse the invite. But I will send that invite out today. So I think we had 32 registrations, so we could give the others maybe another 5 minutes to join in. What do you think, Ranjan? Shall we?
Yeah, we'll
Or
wait for
shall we?
We'll
Okay.
just wait till another couple of few minutes and then we'll join in.
So, Dr. Preeti, welcome. Can you introduce yourself on the chat? welcome to this program. We are requesting all the participants to introduce yourselves on chat, so everybody who joins in can be familiar with the participants. Professor Pragyan, also please introduce yourself in the chat box.
We have another friend who's joined.
Dr. Ronnie Korean, welcome, sir. So Dr. Ronnie Korean is our dean at ISME, and with a set of meetings scheduled back to back this morning, he accepted the invitation to come and introduce the program and ISME to the participants. So, sir, we are waiting for a few more people to join in.
Sure.
Can we give them maybe a couple more minutes? And we requested all the participants to introduce themselves in the chat box.
Okay. All right.
So we can avoid the 15 minutes or 20 minutes which it would take for the individual.
Right.
Plus, also people can always go through the chat and know who the other fellow participants are.
Welcome, Dr. Priyanka.
And Professor Pragyan. We are 27, so another 5 more would be. Good morning, Dr. Roni.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ronnie, sir.
Yeah, good
Good
morning.
morning, Ranjan. Good morning, Raj. Good morning, Shirley, and good morning to all of you.
Preeti from Jaipur has joined us.
Okay.
Neha will be joining shortly. So we have people from Chennai, from Bangalore, from Hyderabad, from Jaipur, from US, Philippines, and Singapore. Raj?
Sorry, I had muted myself because there was a call coming in. Someone wanted to join in.
Once we start the proceedings, you can mute all the participants from your side as an administrator,
Sure.
so that the background noise can be, and then people can unmute themselves, of course, when they talk.
Yeah.
Is it becoming a Zoom fatigue for all of y'all, or are you still enjoying it?
We are enjoying, sir. Hello, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good
Yeah,
morning.
good morning. Welcome, Professor Pragyan.
Thank
And
you, sir.
welcome, Shimi. Shimi Francis is a PhD scholar from Christ University. So I think we
can start.
should start because the ones who have come in on schedule will possibly. So may I welcome everyone to our first workshop in this financial year from ISME. In terms of the content, in terms of the delivery, there are 3 of us who will be taking care of that over the next 4 days. Ramesh Ranjan is, of course, the anchor, brings with him a wealth of experience in the HR field and the use of data and analytics. Professor Shirley Tiwari is with ISME. She also brings about 18 plus years of corporate experience. And I bring in 30 plus years of experience with data and analytics, not HR per se. So welcome to this program. And I think for further introduction, I will invite Dr. Ronnie Korean, our Dean, an introduction to ISME and welcoming the participants. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, good morning to all of you. All of us are in a very unprecedented times with the COVID raging outside. We are able to attend this program with in the protection of our homes. The boundaries of the classroom have vanished, and thanks to digital platforms, we are able to kind of reach out to all of you and bring to you our faculty with a lot of corporate and academic experience. Just a small introduction on ISME. We are part of the NVT group, and which is also into ISO certification. We are an ISO certification body for the last 25 years. We have certified companies in about 36 countries. We also run the NPS school in Whitefield. Our faculty and founders are educated in the US and in India. In terms of ranking, ISME is ranked 34th according to Times of India 2020 ranking and 25th by Business India. We are associated with a few foreign universities like Carleton in Canada, Singapore Institute of Management, Westcliff in the US. As an institute, we are very active with the Confederation of Indian Industry, the Bangalore Chamber of Industry and Commerce, and the National HRD Network. The programs we run are the UG program, the BCom and the BBA, which is affiliated to the Bangalore University. And we have a PGDM, which is accredited by NBA and by, equivalent to an MBA by Association of Indian Universities. And of course, we have the PhD program with about 32 scholars, which is affiliated to the University of Mysore. This is just a bit of who we are and what we do at ISME. So welcome you to this program on HR analytics. What we will be covering in the 4 half-day programs from 9 to 1 would be driving the future of HR through data, strategic HR metrics, KPI-driven HR scorecard, and of course, with Ranjan, Rajendra, and Shirley, with their experience, you'll also kind of know the entire HR analytics journey and how to successfully implement it. I'm actually the Joint Secretary of NHRD, and there are several programs that we run along these lines. So I'm sure the program will be very, very useful and informative for all of you. So wish you all the very best. Yeah, and I hope you have a good interactive program and a good learning program. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So may I request all the participants for a quick minute as we start, and I hand over the charge to Professor Ranjan to put on your video. We would like to see for a quick minute everybody who's who behind the names. Thank you. Thank you. So Mr. Shankar Bhargav, Mr. Shashank Bhargav, Mr. Shankar Ganesh, can we request a quick minute to put on your video? So we have Kiran Kumar also. He's from ISME. He's a finance man who's joined the analytics schedule in finance. Thank you, Mr. Shashank. Mr. Sinha, Mr. Shankar Ganesh, Ms. Savita Murthy, Mr. Shrikant, any others? Everybody who can, please try to put on your videos so we can, for a quick minute, see who you are, and maybe take a screenshot to share with everybody. All right, thank you.
Santosh here.
Yes, welcome, sir. Welcome, Mr. Santosh. So the introductions, Mr. Santosh, we suggested that all the introductions be put up in the chat box.
Yeah.
If you can introduce yourself, sir. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you. So over to you, Ranjan, to the first session in introduction to the program and taking the program forward.
Sure. Thank you very much, Raj, and welcome to all the participants. It's my privilege to be facilitating this program along with Dr. Shirley and Professor Rajendra Desai. And for the next 4 days, we hope to have some very interesting conversations, sharing of knowledge and experiences, and some peer learning. Raj, can I share the screen now? Okay, right. Okay.
Yeah, you have access. Go ahead.
Right. Can you all see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can see.
So what we've done is we have designed the program in such a way that, as you see that today, After my initial introductions, Dr. Shirley Tiwari would be speaking about what is HR analytics, taking us through the journey of HR, the evolution of HR, and then also what's the HR analytics and how do we link business intelligence to HR analytics to actually achieve our business outcomes. Post the tea break, I would be handling a session on about the strategic HR metrics that the CEO cares about, right? It's not what HR does, but it's what the business wants. So we will try and understand what is it that the CEO is looking for in terms of the metrics from HR. Tomorrow we will be in the first half discussing about the total employee experience, basically the discussing about the employee life cycle right from attraction stage till the exit stage. What are all the various functions that we do and how do we measure in each one of those life cycles? We'll then talk about the KPI driven HR scorecard post lunch after we understand the employee life cycle. And then, of course, the silver lining of this program is that the participants yourself will be developing an HR scorecard on the third day. We'll come a bit about it as we progress. Then on the fourth day, Professor Rajendra Desai will be speaking about predictive analytics and also about how we can use machine learning using a rapid manner to improve talent decisions. And we'll wrap it up the entire analytics journey. And hopefully, as I said, we're going to have some very interesting conversations, experiences. We want this program to be not a monologue, but a participative one. So we'll have a lot of activities. As I said, the biggest activity is that you're going to carry home a scorecard with dozens of matrices. I will share with you later on what are the earlier participants, how many matrices they came up with, but I wouldn't want to break the ice at this point of time. So this is what we plan to achieve over the next 4 days. We are flexible and there could be some minor alterations depending on the time that we consume. Is that okay? Any questions, any comments, reactions? Okay. I want to ask you all, what is the new oil? For almost 50 years, the Middle East, the Gulf, and the countries with oil were almost pulling the roost. But today, in the 21st century, year 2021, what do you think is the new oil?
Data.
Right. I'm sure all of us are aware of this, right? People are now saying that data is the new oil. It's no more the carbon fuel oil, which was the real wealth. Data is the new wealth. So we'll try and understand how do we drive the future of HR through data, because now data is the new oil. As Peter Singh had said, information is the oil of the 21st century. Analytics is the combustion engine. Okay? So we need to use analytics as fuel for the combustion engine and then drive not only the human resources in the organization but also business. Closer home, Ambani, right? He said data is not only the new oil, data is also the new soil. Right? At a time a year back, I hope you all remember, the Reliance industry was in debts of around 90,000 crores. 90,000 crores. That's something which none of us can even dream about. Right? Most companies' turnover won't be anywhere close to that. They were in debts. Lockdown happened. COVID came in. All of us were struggling when there was depression, when there was recession. Mukesh Ambani was able to raise 1,25,000 crores, 125,000 crores during this difficult period, all because people saw data as a new oil. It's just not the new oil, but he also said it's a new soil. Look at this. What do you think these companies are? What are they doing? They're all using data. Google does not own any data. Amazon does not own any product. Airbnb does not own any hotels. Facebook does not generate data. Uber does not have any car. But all of them are using data, which are actually, all of us are generating data. And these guys are using that data, creating a platform, facilitating the producers and the consumers to come together, consume data, interpret data, and transact with data. And these guys are making money. Right? Google is $100+ billion company. Amazon is Bezos $1 trillion net worth. Airbnb, Facebook, all of them are leveraging data. So therefore, as Mukesh Ambani said, it's just not oil, but it's also the soil. Data is now giving birth to a lot of ideas, a lot of companies, and a lot of possibilities which we never thought was possible in the past. Having said that, of course, Edward Deming also talked about it, saying that in God we trust, all others must bring data. But having said that, I want to ask you all, what do you think is a competitive advantage for organizations? You can unmute yourself to talk. Yeah, what do you think is the competitive advantage in today's world for organizations?
Making sense of that data.
Okay, making sense of the data. Fine. Anyone else? What do you think is a competitive advantage?
Also being able to predict the trends using data.
Okay. How do I make sense of the data and then how do I predict it? Right? Before all this, look at this. Right? Without people, 70% of the executives drawn from 600 companies agreed that the people were the firm's most important assets. Let's understand, whatever it is, unless you have people, you cannot run a business. So people are your biggest advantage. Right? But still, 10% said that they considered people issues in the same way as they did the more the traditional concerns such as finance. When it came to business, CEOs, investors, customers, and employees took finance much more seriously than people. So all of us agree that people are a greater advantage. We all know that we can buy natural resources, capital can be borrowed, technology can be copied with China. It's only the people in the workforce with their skills and commitment are going to create a competitive advantage, and either you are successful or not so successful. Right? So as Kamil Tome said, the real competitive advantage in any business is people. We all agree that people are our most competitive asset that we have in an organization. We all agree with that?
Yes.
Whether you're in HR, right? Whether you're in HR, whether you're in business, whether you're an investor, whether you're a student, whether you're a researcher, it's ultimately the people are going to make a difference between success and failure. Dave Ulrich, the father and the guru of modern guru of HR, he also talks about it, saying that people are our greatest asset. If people are our greatest asset, look at this. Where do we figure in the balance sheet, right? And look at this. Where is people in the balance sheet? If people are our greatest asset, where are people? I want to ask you all. Why is it that people don't figure in the balance sheet? Or if ever they figure in some form, where do they figure?
Liability.
Payroll liabilities.
Why is it like that? Why are we not looked at as an asset? And why is it, if ever, a small part we're looking at as a liability? And look at this. There's people in the balance sheet, we looked at more as a liability than an asset. Why do you think it's the reason? They said, right, 70% of the CEOs said people are the greatest competitive advantage and the differentiator between success and failure. When it comes to a balance sheet, which is basically a scorecard of an organization, where does HR or where do people figure? And why is it like that? Why do you think it's like that?
Because companies are unable to translate all these expenses, whatever they're investing or whatever they're spending for people, into the business outcomes.
Right. Welcome, Neha. Yes, I agree. Right? People are not able to translate expenses into business outcomes. Anyone else? Why do you think we are figuring on the liability side, and why isn't HR are people not looked at as an asset, and if they are the greatest advantage?
Well, the very basic thing is that it's just like we are accounting for the salaries and the kind of expenses that we need to run to support our people, but we are not looking at the value they bring to the organization.
Right. You're not able to quantify or articulate the value that people bring to the organization. Well said. Right. Reason is, without appropriate level of analytics and tools, it's going to be destructive activity. You're seeing that day in and day out. One day you see that the IT companies are hiring 1 lakh people. I saw the other day, TCS, Infosys, Wipro are going to hire about 90,000 people. A few weeks down the road, or maybe a couple of months down the road, you're going to hear another news that they're laying off people. This is becoming a permanent cycle, and I'm sure people from the US, it's even more common, right? Hire and fire is all the more. People are recklessly hiring people and also recklessly laying off. And even in this current pandemic, it's becoming a real issue, right? Reason is we have not yet reached a level of maturity where we can consistently and quantitatively demonstrate linkage of value creation. Somebody said that, right? So that's why CEOs and CFOs look at HR and people merely as an expense. They are not able to quantify the value that people bring to an organization. And that is why HR or people is looked more as an expense rather than as an asset, more as a liability rather than as an asset. The moment there's a downturn, moment there's some distress in the economy, the first liability is who? People. They cut the training costs, they cut the travel costs, they probably trim down the people budgets, they cut the increments or postpone increments. Then, of course, they lay off people because they look at it as an expense. The reason being is that we as HR professionals, we as an HR function, have not been able to quantify the value that people bring to the organization. We are an important force in the organization. We do a lot of good things, but the problem is we are not able to articulate that what is it that we do, why is it that we do, and what are the business outcomes of what is it that we do. And that is what we were going to see in the next 4 days. How do we articulate and ensure that we are going to project HR as a value provider rather than as a mere expense? Because for too long, I think HR has been saying that we are a soft function, rely more on gut feelings. I had a boss who used to say, I can smell what's going on, what's going wrong, right? I can smell who are the people who are happy or going to be. It's all based on gut feeling. The time has come now. Chris Hargreaves, world thought leader, has said human resource program need not be based on soft reasoning, but should be based on analytical and data driven, like every other discipline. I don't think finance is run on gut feeling. I don't think R&D is run on gut feeling. IT is definitely not run on gut feeling. Maybe sales and marketing to some extent, but again, it's more data driven than gut feeling. So it's about time. We all talk about people with emotions, people are different. It's time that we just not rely on gut feelings, but use data for our HR decisions. Do you agree? Is there any contradictory point of view? We still think HR is more soft rather than hard. Okay, so the future belongs to those who see possibilities before they become obvious. Somebody said in the beginning, right? Proactive. When I look at, based on the data that I have, based on the past trends, can I foresee what's going to happen in the future? Can I foresee who are the talent who's going to stay with us? Can I foresee who are the talent that I'm going to lose? Can I foresee what is my competitive advantage in the market? Because the future belongs to only those who are able to look at into the future before it becomes obvious your competition, right? So understand this. If you can't measure it, you can't understand it. So the first step is HR must be able to measure what is it that we do. Because without that, maybe we may understand, but the business and the other stakeholders are not going to understand it. So the first step is we need to understand is to measure what is it that we do. Because if you can't understand it, you can't control it. And of course, if you can't control it, you can't improve it. So that is in some what is it we're going to talk for the next 4 days. We're going to work together and try and understand how do we measure HR so that we better understand the various offerings that we offer to the business and the stakeholders, and then try and see how we can improve it, not just control it. So I just want to spend 5 minutes. Let's not spend too much of time. I want you all to think. Use this Padlet. I'll put this on the chat, right? If you can't, you can probably what happened now? How do I go to this? Right. If you can't, you can put it on the chat section, right?
Are you sharing the link on the chat?
Yeah, I'm sharing. Sorry, everyone, I'm sharing. What comes on top of your mind? You can just name a few HR metrics. If you can't use Padlet, you can just put it on the chat. Right? What all comes to your mind is fine. What are some of the HR matrices that you can recollect or you think HR can be measured? You can spend about 5 minutes, just top of mind, recall whatever comes, you can share it. If that link doesn't work for you or you're finding it difficult, you can just put it in the chat also.
Yeah, we are getting attrition, training hours, revenue per employee.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can just plus and then add whatever you want. You can see my screen, right?
No, the Padlet screen has not come on, Ranjit.
Okay, I know. I think I
Yeah,
have to
it's
share
still the
entire screen.
PPT.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah. Now we can see the Padlet screen. There are some on chat also, some entries.
Whoever can, because if you put it on Padlet, it remains there in the wall, and later on you can go back and look at it. Employee turnover ratio, ROI on recruitment, return on investment with respect to training, absenteeism rate, right? So just whatever you think, how HR can be measured and what are some of the matrices that comes top of your mind? Span of control, productivity,
Employee retention.
employee retention, diversity during hiring, diversity across roles. Yeah, you're not able to use Padlet.
No, I did that, but then I realized that people are putting on chat also. So
So if it goes on Padlet, it's retained over there and you can always go back to it. No issues about that. So how many, Raj, you're able to see the chat? How much do you think, how many addresses have we rolled out so far? I see what? 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 10 on Padlet.
15 on chat.
5. Right? And I think there are some duplicates.
Yeah, but I would think at least 7, 8 are unique there. So
I want to ask you all, how much, what do you think, how many number, if I say in a term of number, how many matrices do you think we have in HR? Employee, how many matrices as a number do you think we have in HR?
I feel like for us, at least internally, like each HR team has at least 2 or 3 primary metrics to aspire to. So factor of the number of departments or leaders, I guess.
I guess, okay, totally as an HR function, how many, I'm just asking you, top of mind recall, how much do you think HR could have in terms of matrices?
I mean, when it comes to leadership dashboards, it's about 5 numbers at most, because you don't really get that much time to convince the leadership about what needs to be focused on. So yeah, if you're talking about a monthly dashboard, it's about 5 numbers.
Great. How about others? What do you think would be a ballpark number you think we can come up with? 10, 15, 20?
So I think, Ranjan, what Sharath is pointing out is that you don't have time to extract more than 5 for the leadership. Am I right?
Okay.
Hey,
To
how much
focus
time
on.
do you? I mean, it's very difficult to get the leadership's approval to go over 20 metrics, so it makes no sense. And you're not going to get much action done at the end of the day if you have that many, unless you're specifically looking at, say, retirement. Then you can go into more intricate numbers, but otherwise it defeats the purpose.
Right.
I feel it.
Understand, I'm not saying that we should bombard the leadership with hundreds of matrices, but at least from an HR perspective, how many matrices can we generate? Somebody said 30.
Oh, from an operational level, yes.
You go to a balance sheet, it's all about data, it's all matrices, right? Run into pages. But you look at an HR report, we will struggle to fill up 2 or 3 pages. And somebody said 30 plus matrices. I just want to leave this with you before I hand you over to Shirley. In our first workshop, the participants came up with 450 HR matrices. In another program, 330 matrices. In another program, 270 matrices. They were able to come up with a minimum of 270 matrices, and the best of the teams were able to come up with 450 HR matrices. Right? We will see how we do that as we progress. I hand over to Shirley at this point of time to take us through the next sessions, and I welcome you once again, and I hope that we're going to have some very interesting conversations as we go through. Over to you, Dr. Shirley.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a wonderful session. In fact, so many things that even I have learned, right? 450 metrics, wow. Well, something which is, even I have not thought of like that, right? But it is an amazing, amazing thing. It is something you see like that, sometimes it happens that people just keep on thinking. Okay, before I start, I just wanted to ask all of you, of course, I welcome you all that you have, given such important time in the morning today to us so that we can learn and we can talk and we can discuss a lot about HR metrics today. But before I start anything, I want to ask one simple question to all of you. What is the most stupidest line about HR that you have heard so far? I can tell you my example. I have heard I have got like 9-10 years of work experience in corporates, and one of my corporate colleague has told me that HR is there only for making rangolis and arranging samosa chai. Have you ever heard any such kind of a thing with your colleagues or anybody in that? I would like to know the answers, please. Have you ever heard of something like that?
Yes, of course, Shirley. I mean, years back, I used to hear that.
What have you heard? Can you share? What have you heard?
I think the similar thing what you talked about in terms of the way HR, get involved into informal engagement activities. But yes, of course, over the years, things have evolved a big time, and people have started valuing HR contribution in terms of contributing to the business. So it's more of a business partnering these days.
Lovely. Thank you so much for sharing, Neha. But yes, these are the things that I have heard. And when I started my journey, these are the things that people have been saying. Okay, ठीक है, picture ले जाना है, HR से बात कर लो. Okay, समोसे लगवाना है, HR से बात करो, right?
We have some interesting ones on the chat if you'd like to. Why are you being paid so much to celebrate employee birthdays? And HR reminds me of a cookery contest.
Yeah. This is what sometimes amuses me and irritates me to the core. But to be very honest with you, I'm a die-hard HR from my heart. And I personally believe that human beings are something which is a resource, an asset, and something which we can mold and convert a competitive advantage for an organization. And since I'm a researcher and a scholar also, whatever I'll talk today, I'll talk on the basis of data, and I will talk from the base of research. Research says that people, if in an organization are happy, right? In fact, my research thesis is also on happiness on workers, on happiness on employees. Research says, I'm not saying, research says, data says that if the people in the organization are happy, their productivity levels increase from 13% to 26% at any point in time in any department, in any industry, in any sector, right? Which is a huge thing. So in a nutshell, what we are saying that if I treat my people well, if I treat my people, if I make my people happy, if they are satisfied, if they are contented, if their commitment levels are very high, I can actually make them to work good. And we have classic examples of it. We have really, really classic examples of it. We have got Google. Have you seen Google's, Sarath, have you seen Google's office, right? On YouTube or somewhere, any one of you have seen Google's office? I generally show that small video to my students, and my students are, wow, what is this, madam? Right? Because they have got slides to come from first floor to the second floor. They have got, a barbecue. They have got a huge canteen. They've got a 5-star food. They can get their dogs. They can get their maids. They can get their children. They can get their, anything that they want to. It's so relaxing. Why? One of the best companies in the world, and is talking about employee happiness or employee satisfaction. Why? Is there any data which proves that, yes, if my people are happy, they'll be more productive? Is there any data? Yes, there is. Of course, there is. There are a lot of things by which we can actually prove, and we can actually say that if my people are happy and if my people are good, they will work. Now, saying this, I would also like to put your attention a little towards HR domain side. See, people making sometimes they pass certain remarks like this and all that. I completely understand their psyche and completely understand what they say. Sometimes it's our mistake also. I'm not saying it's only their mistake. I'm not putting blame on them. It's our mistake also. Sometimes we have never been able to put ourselves so strongly and quantifiably that these kind of comments come, right? So what today that I'll be talking about is how quantifiable we would be able to do. And of course, Ranjan sir is going to tell you about a lot of matrix, numbers, Excel sheets and data and all those things he will be talking about. I will be talking about where we begin from, where we are, and what exactly we have to go somewhere. When I say that it's our mistake, can you elaborate on that? Anybody? Shankar, are you there? Can I listen from you? Why do you think, why I made a comment when I say, why do I make this statement that it's a partial our mistake also? What does that mean? Do you agree with me?
Yeah, partly yes, Shali. We do not actually contribute directly to the business, or we are not able to clearly bring out how we are contributing to the business leaders. That's where we fail.
Lovely, Shankar, lovely, beautiful. And I think that thing has hurt you somewhere, sometime down the line. That's why we all are here today, right? We all are here. Chalo, let's play a small game. Preeti, are you there? Can you come on the screen, please?
Hi, Shirley.
Yeah, hi. How are you doing, Preeti? You look so beautiful. And your background is amazing, right?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. And so do you. Tell me.
Okay, Preeti, let's play a small game, right? Suppose I am the HR manager, right? And you are I'm HR head and you are my HR manager, right? I'll ask you a couple of questions. You give me random answers, whatever comes to your mind. Okay?
Sure.
All right. Okay. So hi, Preeti, how are you doing?
Very well, Shirley. How about you?
Good, Preeti. So Preeti, yesterday we had a meeting with our board meeting, and our CEO wants to know, the business heads and leads and project leads want to know about how are our employees in the organization? Are they good, bad, happy, not happy, satisfied, not satisfied? I just wanted to know from you, what do you think is the state of our employees?
Well, surely, I would say that I've been in constant touch with them. And given the times that everyone is facing, everyone is going through a very tough time. So with respect to their personal lives, they're struggling. But yeah, if you talk about the professional experience, I think they feel that they're being taken care of as of now.
All right. Okay. So, you know, Preeti, COVID times are going on. Businesses are not doing very good. And we are having a lot of, problems in picking up the business. So management is deciding that we would like to lay off or, ask a few people who are below the bell curve or down the line. I'm thinking of, taking a call on them. What is your view about it?
Well, honestly, it would not be the right thing to do because anyways, people are going through a personal challenge. So if we can sustain ourselves in business for at least a quarter or two, it would give people. I'm sure times are going to improve. This is just a temporary glitch, and if we can just sustain this period, and it's not also even like talking business wise, if we lay off people during this time, it does not send a strong signal to the rest of the folks. So they might stick around right now, but once the market picks up, we are definitely going to see a lot of attrition. People are not going to have loyalty against the company anymore. So I don't think that's a right move.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Preeti. Thank you. That's it. A small role play, right? Can we have a great round of applause for Preeti? She's been such a sport, right? Can we have, wherever you are sitting, you can please clap your hands. Guys, can we have a little energy in the room, please? Okay. Thank you so much, Preeti. Now my question to Ashish. Ashish, are you there? Small question. Ashish, you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Good. Ashish, now Preeti has given me these answers. You have heard all those answers which Preeti gave to me, right? I'm the CHRO or whatever in the company. Do you think her answers were absolutely valid, bang on? Or could have been better? Could these answers be better? I think Ashish got froze. His internet.
Be a little better have.
No. Now we can see you, Ashish. Now we can see you. Yes.
Yeah. What I can just suggest is that had the answers been backed up by a certain amount of data which can be proved in the terms of numbers.
Lovely.
Then that would have added more value to her what you can say, like contention, the point.
Yeah. Okay. So Priyanka, can you tell me what kind of a data she could have brought? What kind of a data she could have brought when we spoke to our CHRO? Priyanka.
Hi, yes, ma'am.
No, don't call me ma'am. Please call me Shirley, right? I'm good to be called as Shirley.
Yeah, Shirley, please.
Yeah. So
pardon me the question.
Question was, so what kind of a data you think that Preeti could have bought or have spoken to CHRO that could have supported her statements, more sturdily, probably, more strongly?
For leadership.
What kind of a data she could have bought?
Maybe data about significant milestones leader in the.
Okay, very good try, Priyanka. Awesome. Anything else?
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
You are able to hear me?
Absolutely clear. I think some internet issues.
Hello.
Yes, Priyanka.
We can hear you. Go ahead, Priyanka.
For that particular position, leadership.
No, not leadership only. Otherwise, also, do you think there could be some data that Preeti could have bought, which could have supported her statements in front of CHRO? Okay. Anybody else would like to come up with answer for the same question? Arun, would you like to try? Arun? All right, no problem. No problem. What we can do is that, if correct me if I'm wrong. You can also, give me your this thing. But what I thought that if Preeti would have said that, sir, so many people in our organization are, are happy because I think, the engagement scores that we did last time, or the survey that we did last time, the scores were very nice. So I probably thought that the commitment levels of people are good. Number two, she could have said that, sir, attrition rates in our organization, attrition is reduced, which was 25% last time, is reduced to 12% this time. Some data, some number. So I probably think that people are satisfied in the organization. They're not looking out, right? The another question when was asked that what you should do at the time of COVID and all. So Preeti could have come, sir, we have got so many employees, this X number of employees we have who are, having this kind of a problem. This we got it from the survey that we did on an engagement, or we have done a survey where we did an a recruitment survey. At that time we found out that these many people have got this much of a background. Depending on the bell curve, we can give this much 1 or 2 months time for them to prepare, or that we can look out for different strategies by which we can hold the people, or probably somebody who's below 10% or something, we can always give them a PIP, right? Something like that. So something, when you talk, what I'm telling you here is, what my point here is, that when we talk in the language of data, when we talk in the language of numbers, it is very easy to understand, point number one. Point number two, it is easily quantifiable and people are able to relate to it, right? So for example, today, the rate of mangoes is 250 rupees per kg. Easily quantifiable. You can understand whether you want to buy or you don't want to buy. Similarly, tomorrow, the rate of the same mango might reduce from 250 to 150. Again, quantifiable. A number is there. A comparison is easily to be made from 250 to 150. Depending on your capacity to buy, you can take a call and you can take a decision. So it helps in taking a decision. These numbers help in taking decision, and HR supports these numbers. HR supports these quantifiable figures so that organization management can make strategies and also take decisions. And that's how we just tell the importance of it. Of course, we are support function, but without our support, function will not function, right? So welcome again. I am Professor Shirley Tiwari. I have got 21 plus years of experience. I have been a trainer, influencer, researcher, academician. I have got 9 years of experience in corporates where I worked with the best of the companies like Convergys, Zenta, Ionizer, and Airtel. And I worked in different parts of the country. So I worked in Noida, Gurgaon, Pune, Bangalore, and I've been associated with Mumbai for 10 years, where I was an academician, and I worked in one of the prestigious colleges there as head of BMS. And after that, I moved to Bangalore, and I have been associated with ISM for the last 4 years. I'm also a researcher, and I was associated with Jain University. In trainings, I have done a lot of trainings with companies like Meritor, Panasonic, to name a few. And now I'm here with you so that we can have a good, interesting time with each other. It's not only that we believe in interaction. So, in ISME, me, Raj sir, and Ramesh sir, we all believe in interaction. So any point of any time, any questions you want, you're free to ask. Absolutely free to ask. Don't even think that what kind of a question am I asking. Don't think twice before asking. We believe in interaction. Please ask as many questions because it's an online, right? It's not an offline. So I won't be able to gauge your body language completely all the time. So please come up, relax, cool, and enjoy. All right. So now, sir, can you please give me the permission to start my PowerPoint? All right. Is it visible?
Yeah, you can go ahead and share.
Yeah, is it visible?
Yeah.
All right. So driving the future of HR through data. That is what that we are discussing.
Shirley, I have a question before we go into the subject.
Yes.
There is a general belief that HR is not a specialized area. Anybody can do HR's job. That is another thought that is there widely in the industry. What I'm hearing of, or I'm with the people that I'm interacting, this is the kind of feel that I get. What is your take on that?
Let me build it a little further. This is not only you who have heard. The further, elaboration of this sentence is that, sorry, I'm using Hindi, but I'll convert it into English for the people who don't understand Hindi. जिनसे कुछ नहीं होता वो HR करते हैं, right? People who can't do numbers, who can't, but they do HR, right? Am I correct, Shankar?
Something of that sort, yeah.
I completely disbelieve that. I don't believe in that completely, right? And if something like this comes, you tell them, "Bhaiya, tum kar lo, hum kar lenge kuch aur," right? If you tell them, if you can, motivate the people. It's not easy. If you want to influence the people, it's not easy. If you need to convince the management to do something for people, ask us how difficult it is. If you want to take money for the compensation, if you want to decide for how much bonus extra should be given to an employee in this tough time, if you want to convince the management not to reduce, not to increase the attrition rate, or not to lay off the people, how difficult is that? And matrix, of course, is not at all easy. Tell them how many people among those departments also are engaged completely and committed completely, satisfied completely, right? So I don't believe in that statement completely. And and I have had a lot of arguments with all my colleagues, whenever such kind of things happen and all. So, and sometimes I just ignore. Sometimes I just ignore. You can't explain everything to everybody. And you can't please and make happy everybody to every time, because I am not an ice cream wala. I can't make them happy all the time. True?
Yeah,
Yes,
got it.
Got it? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So this is what is the next test. I'll take you through a little about HR specialization, about the future, how we evolved and all those things. So Edward Deming said, without data, you're just another person with an opinion, which is very true. After doing HR analytics, after understanding the concepts, after understanding how important and quantifiable things are, and after doing a research, I really completely believe in this statement. That's why I bought this statement here. Because yes, we need to prove that we are not putting our opinion. Our opinion is backed with some data. Our opinion is backed with some calculations and with some numbers. This is the small game that we just played with a couple of you, right? Where how employee morale is. HR says it is good. Manager asks how good. HR says very good. Manager says, how do you know that they are good? And HR says, I have informal conversation with employees in the pantry. Now, Shankar, do you think this last statement, I have informal conversations with employees in the pantry, is it a correct statement?
Oh, it's a factual statement. We do speak to employees at different locations, have informal conversations just to pick their mind. So that's nothing wrong in the statement is my take.
I completely agree. What you're saying is absolutely correct. But can you quantify that? Now, as an
absolutely no.
Again. Right. Today I spoke to Raj sir. Raj sir is in a very good mood. Raj sir gave me all good things about company. Tomorrow I spoke to Raj sir. Raj sir is in a very foul mood. And he tells me all bad things about the company. How will you quantify? Can you just rely on to the informal conversations?
There has to be something formal about it, where we have some kind of a questionnaire or something which captures the real information that we look for.
Hang on. Absolutely. Yes, there has to be a concrete thing. What concrete thing? We can have a matrix, we can have a survey, we can have a questionnaire, we can have some data, we can have some quantifiable thing. So the next line after that, which had happened, that sir, we did a survey, or we did a small questionnaire, and we found out that yes, our people here are good, or they are happy or satisfied, whatever the survey that you want, right? So that is why it becomes very, very important. Now, what happens in an organization? This all you must be facing it, Ashish and Neha and all of you are from HR domain. I know what happens in an organization, and this is the reality what happens in an organization. Organizations and business leaders are now demanding a more data-driven approach of making HR decisions. What is that challenge? What is the huge gap between? One is what employees feel. What is employee feeling? I hate this organization and my manager is horrible. That could be my feeling, right? But what I say, oh, this is a wonderful place to work. And I share a good professional relationship with the manager. And what actually the employee will do? I'm resigning my job due to personal reasons. Yeah? Does this happen?
Quite often.
Quite often. They feel something this. That is where informal conversations come in picture. They say this and they do this. So as an HR, it becomes our responsibility to find out that what exactly the person is feeling. What are his actions saying? For example, when a person takes a lot of leaves, casual leaves, or his absenteeism increased, there is somewhere one antenna gets up of HR. Why so many leaves is he taking? Is he applying somewhere else? Is he not happy here? Absenteeism takes you to that area, isn't it? Isn't it? See, because all HRs are basically Sherlock Holmes. हमारा investigation antenna बहुत जल्दी चल जाता है, right? Why somebody is taking so many leaves, why he is giving me so many personal reasons, he's saying something else, but I found him, applying for different things. So we all have to behave like an Sherlock Holmes, and the information comes to us. We have to just filter the information and keep something to us and give something to the management and give something to the employees. We have to filter that. So this is a gap which happens, and where HR analytics plays a huge, huge, huge role, right? This is something, this is a source by Rich Wasberg, which we found out that how, the HR continues to evolve. This is a little history about it. So we actually started with safety of workers, labor, union, relations, T&D, staffing, survey, designing, culture, right? And we started from labor, then employee relation, personal, human resource, organizational effectiveness. Now we are moving and seen as building a winning organization. Now HR is seen as that we can make a winning organization, and people are looking towards it. I'm not kidding. I have seen such powerful HRs in few companies, such powerful HRs. They just give the suggestions, and management they have a very 100% say in what management takes a decision. Why? Because these HRs and departments have taken the organization to win. And that is what today's word is. Winning is the culture. Winning is something that everybody is talking to and trying to. By the way, one small question from history. Since I am a researcher, so I keep on asking such questions. Do you know in which part of our country did first union got made, and by whom and for what? It's a small quiz question so that everybody is alert. Are we all alert here? Shimi Francis, are you there? Shimi, are you there?
Yes, ma'am, I am there.
Don't call me ma'am, Shimi. I'm Shirley.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah. Okay. Can you answer this small quiz?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
First union, somebody, first time it happened, and I'm talking about my country, about India. Any ideas? Otherwise, I'll give you the answer, not an issue. All right.
Chennai.
Yeah, please try. Yes.
Yeah, I'm just trying. So, is it Chennai by any chance?
Quite close. But अगर मैंने चेन्नई को हाँ कर दिया, तो मुंबई वाले बुरा मान जाएंगे, because the correct answer was Mumbai, right? So there was a guy called N.M. Lokhande who did this, and you know what was the reason? You'll be surprised for the reason. He started demanding 1 day leave. He wanted 1 day leave. Because of it, this agitation started, and management said, no, you cannot do this. And then people have started. So here, safety, labor, union, all that have started. And from there, we have moved till here, and we are still growing. So Shankar, tomorrow anybody asks you that question, show them this chart. All right? Yeah? Are you guys with me? Can you please show the sign language, because we are an online training? Can we show this? Lovely. Thank you, Neha. Thank you. All right. So we are moving from, a transition of HR functions, how we are doing. We are moving from a control, then we move to services. Now we are moving into decision making. This is a small history that I bought for all of you, right? That from where we started, actually we started in 1911 from Taylor. Sorry, but since I'm an academician, so kuch academic content beech mein aayega hi, right? And which is, I think it's very, very fruitful for all of you to understand that we actually started from Taylor. Then we went to 1930, where we started with assessment centers. 14 to 18, we started talking about mental ability tests. 1914, Word. We actually started talking about mental ability test. 1920 social intelligence, Hawthorne experiment, Elton Mayo, Roethlisberg, they all came. 10-year big experiment of Hawthorne was conducted, and a lot of thing about behavioral science was discussed here in 1920. 1921, Carlton, MBTI. How many of you know MBTI? How many of you do MBTI in your organizations? You can show a thumbs up if it is. Oh, good, lovely, great. Awesome. Good. Then we went to, again, 43, picked up 78 HR matrix. That's why I highlighted it. Right? How many of you were born in 78? How many of you were born in Ranjan sir? Sir, you're mute.
I was born way before that.
Because of you only matrix has come, sir.
I was sweet 16 at then.
Okay. All right. A matrix is started, then balanced scorecards. After matrix, so many things have started coming up. Scorecards, TMS, predictive analytics in HR. All those things have started coming up. Okay. Who can tell me what is this complicated slide is? You can give me a try. Neha, would you like to try?
It's all about competencies, of course. So we do it and we try across different roles in organization.
Lovely. What is the meaning of this arrow which is there? What is the meaning of these things? 3.65 to 4.1, 3.78 to 4.3.
So how the score is improving. So when we assess it, let's say 1987, and the last
now.
Yeah, so how the score basically has improved over the years when we started investing in these roles.
Lovely. Great. Ranjan sir, would you like to add something on this slide?
Yeah, this was basically the importance, right? What are the top competencies that HR should have, right? Way back in 1987, when Dave Ulrich and his team did the first round of survey of all the top HR professionals and CEOs across the world, they found that these are the competencies which are required and what is the weightage for that.
Yeah.
As you see progress over 7 rounds over about 40 years, it's one of the longest surveys, 30 years, sorry. You see how, business, it's now 4.13. HR analytics or HR information is now become almost 4.02, catching up with business. And change, of course, 4.01, and personnel has become 4.33.
Absolutely.
Sorry. So HR has moved from just being 3.33 has gone up to 4.02 over a period of time. And it is one of the most important competencies that HR professionals need to have. This is coming from the thought leader, the guru of HR, father of modern HR, Ulrich.
Yeah. Right. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Right. So what is an HR value chain? Efficiency, effectiveness, impact. We all know this. It is just that I am putting a little more, emphasis on the value systems that we bring into. HR activities and processes like workforce planning, recruitment and selection, compensation and benefit in IR, T&D, internal mobility, talent management, coaching, downsizing, designing, all those things are efficiency, right? And these efficiencies are extremely important for any organization to run, right? Effectiveness, engagement, retention, presence of the employee, competency levels, performance, social climate, employee involvement, and trust. And the impact that it creates on an organization is that it increases profits, market value, market share, turnover, reduce turnover, increase productivity, improve quality, customer satisfaction, and fairness and ethical thing. Okay, another question. Who is Gandhi of corporate? Who is Gandhi of corporate? Give it a try. No problem. Wrong answer. There is no chocolate I can give or I can take. There are no marks also. Just try. Pardon?
Tata.
Okay. Anybody else? Something about Murthy?
Narayan
Murthy. Narayan Murthy used to say one statement, very precise and very, very powerful statement. He says that if a person in my organization, if an employee in my organization is working extra, then there are two reasons for it. Either he's super inefficient or he's doing a work of two people. Isn't it? This is our job. This is HR's job to find out the efficiency of people, effectiveness of people, and relate it to the business. Take it to the business, increase the profitability. And I'm not talking only from the point of view of HR. I'm also talking from the point of view of marketing, finance, analytics, operations, supply chain, procurement, anything. You know. And now this theory, this has actually gotten converted into a theory, and this theory is called as an AMO theory, called as ability, motivation, opportunity. Ability, motivation, opportunity theory, AMO theory, which actually talks about that how good HR is there to improve the ability, motivation of people and providing opportunity within the organization or even outside the organization. Now, let me tell you one more interesting fact. There's a company, I don't want to name the company here, but you know, it is so good with its employees. You know, it's a huge company, and very well known in the world, one of the topmost companies in the world. This company is so efficient that whenever you know, they also have a PIP. You all know that after performance appraisal, there is a process called PIP where we put employees on a performance improvement plan. We put people on PIPs where they have to improve, and if they are not able to improve and the project manager says that you know, we want these people to go, you know what this company does? This company have a set of consultants on their own roles, and these consultants actually help these people who are on PIP and not fitting into the culture of that organization to get jobs outside. So they take 3 months to a 6 months time with that person. They make their CV, they you know, give them chances, they prepare them for interviews. So if you suppose employee A is not matching and he's not performing, he's not able to cope up with my culture and my performance, not able to give me the performance that I require, I am not taking away my responsibility from him, and I'm saying that you're not working, you get lost. I'm taking a responsibility of that employee that, okay, I have a set of consultants working with me. I'll, you know, work with them, and 6 months time, you'll be finding a good job for yourself outside my company. There are companies like that also. And there are companies who will just, you will go tomorrow in the office, you swap your iCard, and iCard is not working. You swap again, iCard is not working. You go to the security card checks in the list and say, oh, ho, ho. And he takes you to the HR, and then HR says, sir, we don't require you. And there are such companies also, right? HR analytics talks about this kind of a data. And mind it, research says, I am not saying, research has proven the best of the best companies in the world or the topmost companies of the world are those companies which take responsibility of their employees and are taking good care of their employees, where they improve the efficiency, effectiveness, and impact of the of the employees on organizations. So such big businesses, are those businesses, you know, are doing something which is senseless? Don't you think that everybody should learn from them? And there where the data comes, and there where the analytics comes, and there where all the numbers and what. Yes, sir, you want to say something?
I just want to ask the people, no, HR must be, somebody said that we have 50 plus HR matrices and, you know, we do a lot of things. Where do you think HR falls in? Most of the matrices, most of the data that HR presents, where does it fall? Is it about, we're talking about our HR's efficiency? Or are we talking about the effectiveness of HR policies and programs? Or are we talking about impact? Where do you think, where are we at this point of time? Most of the organizations.
So most of the organizations, Arjun, is like in block 1 and block 2. That's in the transition.
Yeah.
Not too much in third one, I believe.
Absolutely. So that is where, you know, the credibility of HR, you know, I heard a lot of interesting discussion. What is it HR is doing? HR is only doing parties, you know, rangolis and samosas. Right? Most of the time, we are only talking about efficiency in terms of how well we hired people, how much of training programs we did, what is our attrition rate, what is the retention rate. We're very good at that. I'm sure all of us are capturing data and sharing it. Yes, to some extent, we are also talking about engagement, effectiveness. how effective HR programs are, and therefore what is the impact it's had on engagement or retention. How many of us are actually presenting HR data in such a way that we're able to show what is it that we do impacts business?
Yeah.
And that is why the credibility of HR, is at stake, and people don't take you seriously. And that's why you've seen HR or people data as more as liability than as assets. So the time has come now for us, in addition to showcasing efficiency and effectiveness, how do we also showcase that what is it that we do as HR is impacting the organizations in all these parameters? And that is what is truly HR analytics is all about. And that is what is going to take us that destination.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, sir. Absolutely. This impact is very, very important. Just on this note only, before I move to the next slide, I just wanted to give you one new perspective. I was just going through a couple of research papers yesterday and day before yesterday. You'll be surprised to know that now there is something which is called as in contemporary HR, in the contemporary topics, when a PsyCap has been discussed a lot, and Luthen's theories are discussed a lot, OC is being discussed a lot. Now there is something which has been discussed, and this is called as HAW, HAW, happiness at workplace. You'll be really surprised to know that now we have got happiness trainers, happiness influencers in the organization. If you see the parameter on which we are moving, earlier there were a lot of gyms. Johnson & Johnson have got gym, Marico has got gym, GE has got gym, Capgemini has got gym. Companies used to have gym because they used to believe that fitness of the employees were very good when employee awareness were getting up. Then they moved to meditation. There are companies, right, like where meditation rooms are there, camps are there, people, they come and they do meditation for their employees, and also that the stress levels reduces, because there is researches which says that stress levels reduces the productivity of employee. And in high stress jobs, where sales, marketing, supply chain, in high stress jobs, it is very important to reduce the meditation, reduce the stress levels by meditation. Now people are moving up a bit further. Now there are something called as happiness influencers of organization, and there are trainers for that, where they come and they talk and they relate, and mind it, they relate the emotions with the number of productive hours or units that they are doing and the quality of work generated. In that case also, I have seen those presentations and videos, and I attended a couple of programs there where they have actually beautifully, that trainer has said that the happiness question, and it is quantifiable, by the way, happiness question of this particular employee is 8 on 10. So the productivity level and the quality of work is also 6.5 to 7.5 compared to the people who are delivering only 3.4 and 4.5. This is what that we have to talk to the management in numbers so that they can relate. Okay. And they then relate it. They don't stop there. They relate that if this employee is delivering the results and the productivity of the employee is 6.5 to 7.5, the impact on the business is equally stronger. And that person and the profit levels of this organization has improved because all the people are like that. Are you getting my point? Are you there with me? Yes, no? You can show me a hands up, right? A thumbs up. Yeah. Sarath, you there with me? Sarath?
Yep, I follow. Thank you.
Okay. Cool. Till here, everything is clear?
Shelly, I have a question about the trust part in the effectiveness tab. We have a trust part there.
Yes.
Okay. So how do we measure this trust as an outcome of
there
the
is
activities?
Trust is actually not directly measured. It is measured by attitude. And there are tools, instruments which are available in HR research domain by which we can actually, one of the tools are Spine. There is one called as PERMA, to name a few, which are tools and questionnaires and instruments which are available by which we can actually quantify the number and the trust levels that we have. So what we do, just to give you 2 minutes detour, I'm taking here because you asked me a research question, so I'm answering for all of you. Just 2 minutes I'll take to explain it to you. What they do is basically there is an instrument which is already been done and formulated by researchers, and they generally follow this particular research. What they do is that they float it and quantify the numbers, and they convert. They have normal questions. And their questions are not direct questions. They're very indirect questions. Researchers are very smart. They ask the questions, but in an indirect form, so that you're giving them the right answer. Right. And there are not much questions. There are maximum 25 to 30 questions which are there in that instrument. And they use those instruments to identify the positive and negative attitudes of people. Based on that, they also go into and find out the trust, loyalty, and hope. Right. So PsyCap instruments which come, like PERMA comes for happiness, like one more spine was there. Then there are couple of more instruments which are there by which we can actually identify and quantify these abstract things also for our employees. It is doable and it is quantifiable. Has it answered your question?
Yeah, thanks, Shirley. And do we have to take the responses with a pinch of salt? Because what the employees feel and what they say, there is always a disconnect, which was explained in one of your previous slides.
These instruments are made in such a way that employee get tricked, and actually his real thing will come out. He can't. That's why there are not so many questions. If there are 60 questions, 70 questions, of course, there is a chances of, like in psychometric tests, you must have seen and all those things. The chances are the responses will not come proper. But when you go these questions, they are designed in such a way that most of the times we get the real picture.
Yeah.
Sorry, Shirley,
thanks a lot.
What was the tool called?
Pardon, Sarath?
What was the tool called again?
One is PERMA. It is for happiness, PERMA, right? One is Spain for positive and negative attitude, right? And under that comes the trust, loyalty, and hope. There are certain tools. I don't think you will find them on Google. They are not.
That's what I was trying to say. But
find it on Google, right? So these are all research related. You have to go through research papers and then you can find it.
I was on the library portal, but yes.
All right. So what is the current HR state? Let's take it quickly. Yeah, we are 10:21. We have still time. So what is the current HR analytics? We all have come here for HR analytics thing. So what is the current state? People think it's a new toy, right? It's inspired by promise of relevance through data-driven insights. There are expectations of revolution in HR. HR professionals are desperately hoping that it will finally prove the value of HR using data. Another third question to all of you. How much is the requirement in India of HR analytics professionals? And don't check Google, Sarath.
No. I'm still hunting for the PERMA tool on our
if you
on
are
the university.
If you're so keen for PERMA, if you're so keen, I can share on my research paper with you. You can find it from that, not an issue. We are there together for 4 days. Don't worry, I'm not leaving you. We are here. Right? Okay, how much is the demand of HR analytics professionals in our country? Okay, now I allow you to please go to Google and find out. Please go to the Google and find out. I'll give you 30 seconds. Find out the answer, no problem.
It's the hottest skill of HR at this point of time, and the highest paying job also.
Yes. So how much is the demand of this particular job in India? Let's talk only about India. See the Google, check on your mobiles. Give me the answer, no problem.
Somebody has put on chat.
Somebody's put, I can't see the chat here, sir. Can you read the chat for me?
No, I some other message.
Raj, sir, can you read the chat for me? I'm not able to see the chat.
No, nothing has come on chat.
Acha, okay.
Yeah, nothing on chat yet.
Okay, all right. So what is the number? Requirement, demand and supply. How much is the demand and how much people are there in the industry who actually know HR analytics?
Professor Pragyan has a hand up to tell you.
Yeah, Pragyan, please.
Yeah, hello. Good morning, ma'am.
Shirley.
Yeah. Good morning, Shirley. I think as far as analytics is concerned, it is nowadays used in corporates for analyzing many things like performance appraisal, retentions, and I think also for future retentions, attrition rates also.
Yes.
And even they are checking out HRIS on the basis of this analytics.
Yes.
Also, they are checking out the future data, potential candidates, potentialities of the candidates as well.
Yes. Lovely. So how many people, what is the demand of HR analytics in corporates in India?
In India, I think few of the companies are using, not all.
Lovely. Great. Yes, Pranay, you're absolutely right. Bang on. You know,
thank you.
Yeah. Anyone? Sarath, are you able to find something on Google? I know you're checking the Google, right? This Smith body language we can see on online also. Okay, so just to give you an idea, you can find out the answer later on, not an issue. Let me leave you this homework with you. But just to give you this thing, if the demand is 1 lakh, we are just producing 10,000 to 12,000 professionals in our country. So can you see the gap? Can you see the gap?
Yeah. Because many of the companies are not using.
Right, this is the gap. This is what the importance of HR analytics in today's world is. And this pandemic, and after this pandemic, I think scene will definitely increase for HR analytics. That's why it's a hot cake, right? So what is HR analytics? HR analytics is the identification and quantification of the people drivers of business outcomes. What does it mean? Can anybody explain me this? What does it mean? What does this mean? I'll give you a little more explanation about it, but anybody who can tell me. Pragnya, can you just try? Want to try? What is this? You can break this.
Yeah. I can try.
Please.
It is the system. What you said? This definition.
It's a systematic.
Yeah, identification and quantification of the people drivers of business outcomes. I think whatever the HR matrices are, they are trying to quantify that and to know the exact result from the employees.
Great. It's been long. It's been an hour. I've been talking. Can we have a round of applause for her, please?
Thank you.
Good. So it is very well said by her, like it is a very systematic, means one by one, systematic, right? It's going systematic, identification and quantification. So like how Sarath asked that what is the quantifiable way of trust, loyalty, happiness and all that, right? So it's a quantifiable of people's drivers. What drives the people? What are people drivers? What are people drivers?
Anything that motivates people.
Yeah. What motivates you? How many? Okay. Question. How many of you will go 4 a.m. in your office if your boss says that whosoever come 4 a.m. in the office will get $500 extra? How many of you will go? Please raise your hand. None? Acha, 1, 2. Okay. All right.
Depends on whether it's America or India.
Well, whichever you are comfortable with. $500, I think it's good for India and America both, right? Whichever. Okay, let me twist the question.
I'll take it, sure, totally.
Okay, let me twist the question, Sarath, for you. How many of you will come 4 a.m. in the office? If you come 4 a.m. in the office, there'll be 2 leaves given to you. 2 leaves extra given to you. How many of you will come now?
No, I will not prefer.
Okay. How many of you prefer? Okay, 1. Somebody will prefer the leaves. Okay. All right. How many of you will come 4 a.m.? If you come at 4 a.m. in the morning, you will be given 1 year bonus extra. Abhi bolo. 1 year bonus extra. Abhi. Now what?
नहीं, हर दिन 4 बजे आना है या एक दिन आना है?
सर बोनस मिलेगा तो कम से कम 1 महीना तो बुलाएंगे. Okay. See, what are these? These are drivers. Isn't it? Are these drivers?
Incentives.
Lovely. Isn't it? So HR analytics. It is the process of collecting and analyzing HR data in order to improve an organization workforce performance. So I collected a data immediately in front of you. What data I collected? I collected that there are 3 people who will come 4 a.m. in my office if I give them $500. I also collected a data that if I give one month bonus extra, people are ready to come 4 a.m. in the office for 1 month. I also collected a data that nobody cares for leaves because there was only one person who raised hand for leave. What I collected this. You are my sample. You were my sample. I just asked 3 questions and I collected data. Simple. So tomorrow, if I need to go and I need to tell my boss, if you want to start the office at 4 a.m. in the morning, you have to give 1 month bonus extra to them. Decision ho gaya ki nahi? Is it good in decision making? Yes or no? Guys, are we sleeping?
Yes, right.
What yes? Are we sleeping?
No. What is said? Yes.
Right. Right. So yeah. So it helps in decision. See, it's simple thing. In 5 minutes, not even 5, I actually took 3 minutes to ask you 3 questions from this sample. I collected data, I made an analysis, I gave it to my boss, decision is taken. This is called HR analytics. Simple, period. Okay, the process can also be referred to as talent analytics, people analytics, or even workforce analytics. It is also known by these names. But why should we do HR analytics? One is, of course, I told you for taking and all. What other things HR analytics is important? Why management is giving so much of emphasis on HR analytics? Why? Q. Because we want to fill skill gaps, hire right people, foster deeper employee engagements, boost employee performance and productivity, eliminate workforce discrimination. A lot of things are coming here which you have put in chat when Ranjan sir asked you the question in the beginning. All these are the same answers which you put it in chat, right, Neha? Neha put about eliminate workforce discrimination, employee retention, improve operations, and reduce cost. That is why we need HR analytics, right? Having data-backed evidences means that organizations can focus on making the necessary improvements and plan your future initiatives. It also with the ability to answer important organizational questions without any guesswork. So the question which I asked, go back a couple of minutes back. I asked questions to Preeti. I asked how many people are happy. Preeti said people are happy, right? Because I had an informal chat and I know. What she did a guesswork. HR analytics mein, we don't do a guesswork. Are you understanding me? Right. So tomorrow, if Shankar comes and asks me that all my team members are extremely trustworthy, right? Shankar is making a guesswork. Shankar has to run a questionnaire and survey and find out what is the level of their trust, what is the level of their commitment, what is the level of their positive and negative attitude. Only then he can quantify and can give that. That is where HR analytics comes into picture, because we talk with proof, we talk with numbers, we talk with evidence. Okay, so this is another
question.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so this is around the previous slides you had where you talked about a lot of organizations are still not using the HR analytics in the real form. Yeah. So in terms of the research or based on whatever data points you would have had, what do you think in India, what is the percentage of HR professionals / organization who are kind of using data analytics in the real form, or let's say close to 80-90% of what we are targeting?
Infosys, okay. Who's asking me this question? I'm sorry.
Neha.
Neha, I am writing a paper on HR analytics and its use in corporates, and I started this paper last year, right? And I have spoken to people from Infosys, Accenture, IBM, mostly IT companies, because I went with an assumption that at least in IT companies, HR analytics would be really, really good. No doubt, these companies are using HR analytics, right? Infosys is also using HR analytics and all, but they are still using not the very high-end versions of HR analytics, not using very high-end versions. They are using the basic things like retention, attrition, turnover, engagement. All these things they are definitely doing, because this analytics and this number is actually a part of their KRA, not a complete KRA. Are you understanding me? If it becomes my core role, I've been hired only in the company to analyze the data and send. Then of course I'll be doing and getting into all 400, 500 metrics which are available. But if it is just a part of my KRA, you'll be surprised to know for 1 year I've been collecting data from all these companies. So far I have just received 45 answers, 45 responses from my questionnaire. Because people are not able to answer me. That is what I say, that there is a huge demand in India and across the globe. There is a huge demand of this particular course. People are just wanting to know about it. Yes, Ranjan sir.
So Neha, also to answer that, we saw that some time back, right? Most of the organizations are only looking or concentrating on efficiency. HR, if you see in terms of analytics, most of HR is trying to quantify only their efficiency. They want to look good, right? Or whatever they're managing, they want to look good. As somebody said, yes, many of them are also now starting to look at the second column, which is the effectiveness, right? Very few of them are on the impact. So if you see HR analytics per se, if you ask any professional, says yes, we have HR analytics in the organization. 90% of them will say yes, some sort of HR analytics, what we normally call HR as reports, right? That's what most people understand it is. But then if you go into depth, you realize they're more just reporting or just about efficiency. And a little of them who have progressed are going more into effectiveness. Okay, any few in terms of
yeah.
But as Shirley said, even I've been trying to do some research. See me, even though I'm well connected, I have friends everywhere, I'm not getting any response from the industry. Either because they don't have time, or it's not important to them, or they don't have data.
They don't have data. I have had a, just to add, I have had a face-to-face interview with Infosys and Accenture HR people. Face-to-face interview. I went to the company and I had a face-to-face interview. They just use very basic concepts of HR analytics. They don't use in-depth things. In-depth things are not there. That is why I say that if you go in the company and you tell that you know all these other things, your value will definitely increase in the organization and you will add value to the businesses, business intelligence, so called. Right? Have you
Sure.
answered your query, Neha?
Yeah. To an extent, Shirley. I mean, of course, we don't have the exact numbers because a lot of organizations are not
But
putting.
yeah, this is what the scene is.
Sure. Thanks to both of you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So this slide actually, yeah, again talks about the same thing that we just discussed. This about HR analytics. What gets measured gets managed. What gets managed gets executed. Mr. Drucker said, And so what we do, we measure and manage. We check out the return on investments. So what David Foster said, that business demands on HR are increasingly going to be on analysis just because people are so expensive. This actually is so important. People are expensive. So when we do a CTC analysis or when we do payrolls related metrics and all, we actually find out that how much productivity is coming from that person. If this is the salary, if this is the CTC, which Ranjan San of course is going to take you through and will explain you all those things. It also helps in performance improvement and it also helps in linkage of business objective and people strategies. Yeah.
So just go back, Shirley. So Neha, to answer your previous question, most of us are looking at more in terms of measure and manage, and in terms of very few of our scorecards or analysis is looking in terms of return on investment. So now we struggle to find out how is it my employee engagement program? Thank God it's Friday program. What is return on investment? So what is the return on investment on attending this training program? They're struggling as an HR to demonstrate to business what's return on investment. And as Foster said, in IT industries, your salary bill could be as high as 50%. In some service industries, even 50% or 55%. So when you're spending so much of money, what's your ROI? And we as HR function are struggling to articulate what is your ROI and many of our HR programs.
Yeah.
Right?
So if somebody is given a salary of 1 crore, how much business is he getting on that 1 crore?
Right.
Make it very simple for you. Right?
And very few of our analytics are looking at performance improvement.
Yes.
Having done all these HR initiatives, all the KRAs that HR has got, okay, tell me how is it that has improved the organization's performance? Sure. How is it that has improved employee performance? I gave so much of increment. I did so much of training. I introduced so many policies. I introduced work from home. I have a diversity program. Fine. But what is it impact on the organization in terms of improvement. Not
Yes.
able to articulate it. And then, of course, towards the end, as I said, what is it that we do? Why is it that we do? I'm doing a Thank God It's Friday program just because it's a fad. Because Infosys does, because it is on Saturday, somebody started it, so I also do it. Okay. But what is the impact? What is the linkage to what I do to the business outcomes? If you are able to articulate it, if you have an analytics program which are able to capture all this, then you have mastered it. Otherwise, you're still at a very nascent stage. And unfortunately, in India, at least, I don't know much about abroad. Abroad is much faster or much progress. In India, as I know, mostly in terms of measure and manage to some extent on ROI.
Yes.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, Ranjan.
Right. We will see this as we go in the next 3 days, how we're going to capture all these areas.
Yeah. So to give you a little one more example from corporates on the same thing, GE has a policy where the best of the employees and engineers in GE supports the entire education of that person if he wants to go abroad and do something. And then he has to sign a bond with that company that after doing and finishing that particular course, they will come back and join the same company. Because of which the engagement levels of GE were really, really good. And it's a case study. It is easily available. You can read it through, right? It's a case study where they did this and they found that it was working well with GE. A couple of other companies in the same sector have tried to copy the same policy. They could not do it because they did not put the analytics behind it, and they did not see that why GE was doing it. It's a beautiful case study where a student is forced to ask that what are the things that GE was doing and it's still able to do it, and what are the things where other companies are trying to copying and still not to do it. And the answer comes up to be an analytical answer, which comes out that ROI which was being done and the process which was followed by GE was absolutely different than that compared to by any other company. So that is why this particular thing becomes extremely important.
Yeah, no, Shirley, I think I can very much relate to it because I'm ex-GE HR professional. So, and not just, within GE, I think within GE also, if I talk about, so there are different GE businesses.
Yes.
So one GE business is following it so religiously, and they have this process, which is very well accepted by the employees and very nicely done. But if I talk about replicating that in other GE businesses, it is difficult. So
because people went out and they don't come back only. I have read that one problem was that they went out, took the money and established themselves there. That is one of the things which was there in the case. Yeah.
A good example. Thanks.
Yeah. Let's move forward. What hopes does HR analytics offer to the HR professionals? Number one, it helps to make better decision using data. It helps to create a business case for HR interventions, for a move from one operational partner to a tactical or a strategic movements, and effectiveness of HR, which just me and Ranjan just spoke about it. Now, this is the art of HR is being replaced by science, right? Science is nothing. Science is simple logic. HR analytics is nothing. HR analytics is a simple logic. That is why when I used the statement in the beginning of the session, where I said that we all have to be very like Sherlock Holmes, right? We have to investigate. It is nothing called investigation. It is just using your common sense and logic to it. Simple logic, right? If somebody is taking too many leaves, simple logic. If somebody is not coming to work, simple logics. If somebody is doing insubordination, simple logic. Start doing that. So what are the business questions that we should ask as an HR, right? What are the participants' reaction, right? How does this year compare to the last year? How do we compare to the competition? What metrics appear to move together? What happened because of my investments? If we make changes, what will happen? What actions can be taken to generate the best results? These are a couple of macro level questions when we do in an HR analytics, or when we move or when we dig into any problem. These are the things by which we increase the complexity and start asking about these things, right? And how do we get them? We get there by asking these certain questions. Now, critical questions before HR. What are some critical questions? Workforce issue. Strong, very critical question. What workforce data is required and can be leveraged to understand the HR function? What is currently happening or has happened related to our workforce and why? What should we do based on the insights available? I'll give you a small story, right? I'll take 1 minute to tell you the story about this. In Chennai, there is a manufacturing firm In that manufacturing firm, there are employees, 500 employees who are working. Suddenly, the attrition rate of that particular company started increasing. And after 2-3 months, HR has started realizing that people are just leaving, giving personal reasons and leaving. HR started investigating. It was a conscious call taken by management, but you should ask doing it. They started doing a little survey, asking informal chats, doing focus group interviews, started checking out. To their surprise, they found out that most of the people.
Yeah, I'll let it come in the break.
Sorry?
11 o'clock break.
I think one break is at 11, I think. Next break is
11 a.m.
11. Yeah. We still have 15 minutes. Okay, so they found out that, a set of people who are, the attrition level is specifically by those people who belong to one particular locality in Chennai. They started digging into the information that why those people are leaving out. It was found out that, that they take at least 2.5 hours to coming to the factory and 2.5 hours going back to the factory. It was too much for them after the shift. So that's why they are planning to leave the job and they are joining other companies. Then they found out why it is taking 2.5 hours. They found out that the buses, the transport which was there provided by the organization, the buses are too huge. And because they comply big buses, the buses cannot take short turns and cannot go by the shortcuts to that particular locality. They came up with a solution, and they bought one bus which is smaller in size, which can go into smaller areas and localities, and those employees who were taking 2.5 hours to reach to their home are able to reach to their home in only 1 hour or 45 minutes, because of which they saw a drop in attrition. This is a simple case, a simple thing, but it was a problem. It was a challenge. It was a critical question.
Shirley, can I just step in for a quick second here? Because the predictive analytics workshop, we're going to handle attrition. So I just wanted to extend this thought that the company found out one variable, which was the distance, a commute distance. And they could find that as the variable on which they could make a difference to bring down attrition. Now, typically, I think in the real world, that one variable may not be enough. There could be the profile of the person in terms of age, experience, grade. So there could be maybe 10, 15, 20 such variables which could have impacted the attrition. And predictive analytics is an area which helps us look for that pattern. So this was just an aside, since you brought in attrition on one variable. That last day's session will bring in the aspect of looking for a pattern across maybe 20 different parameters.
Yeah.
And how machine learning can help us do that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. It's a great insight. So these are a couple of questions. This slide talks about the same, all those questions which I just spoke, right? Where the compensation, why people are leaving. So these are certain questions which HR keeps on, thinking about, right? And to come on to the levels and for everything, workforce analytics and workforce planning, right? So this is about analytics and this is about planning. That where do I source my best talent? So what does our current and historical workforce look like? Are we retaining our best talent? How do I capture and communicate changes to the workforce? So these all are just an example. This entire slide is just an example of what are the critical questions that HR can ask and what are the answers that analytics and planning can give you, right? This is the same which I asked in the initial, me and Preeti played an example where HR was asked the answer. We should do a market benchmark of our compensation, or we should consider a counter offer for those who we wish to retain. These are the answers that HR should give to management. These are the strategies, these are the decision-making statements that help the management to decide on what next steps that they should do. And these answers comes only by analytics, only by discussing, only by getting the surveys. This is the same continuation of the same thing that we discussed in the initial time. How does it work? Data must first be collected. It should be monitored, measured against the data, identify trends or patterns, and apply insights to organizational decisions. This is how basically how HR analytics work. right? There is a small framework which we generally talk about in HR analytics academically called as LAMP framework summary. What is a LAMP framework? It's basically you put logic, put analytics, measure that, and process it. Simple, right? This is the very small framework that we generally use in analytics when we start. So this is what the thinking of an HR professional should be. And these are certain tools which are used, available that HR can need to learn and, can apply them so that, if they are there, few of the companies have them, right? Few of the companies bought them. You can also apply them. So these are certain tools by which you can actually do HR analytics easily.
And surely in this program, Mr. Rajendra Desai will be using Mind Tools.
Rapid Mind.
Right. Okay, there are certain examples of specific metrics which Ranjan sir is going to talk about at length, and Rajendra Desai sir will be talking about at length. Basically, the metrics by which we can measure the things are time to hire, recruitment cost to hire, turnover matrix, absenteeism matrix, and engagement ratings. Right, sir?
Yeah.
I'll be moving a little fast now because we are just coming on to the end, and we have got just last 10 minutes. So that's why I'm just putting it a little fast on a fast mode. Okay, now core concepts, right? And terminology. What is business intelligence that we are talking about? What does this entire thing talk about? So all reporting, performance management, data mining, text analysis, benchmarking, process mining, event processing, they all are the process of analytics, which helps in taking a decision by the management and by suggestion of HR people, which helps in improving the intelligence of the business. When we say intelligence of the business, what does it mean? What does it mean? This is the definition in front of you. Can anybody read it and can tell me what does the business intelligence means? Before I start, I'll give you 1 minute to please read it and tell me what does it mean.
Can I say, Shirley?
Absolutely, Pranya. Please.
Yeah, it is a set of theories. Whatever is written here is methodologies or processes or architectures and technologies that transform raw data into meaningful and useful information for business purposes. So here we can say that business intelligence is also used in the HR analytics as a part, because in HR analytics also they use the data into the meaningful and useful information for future and potential business purposes.
Perfect. And what will it help in? What this will help in into?
It will help us to basically the drivers, the HR professionals, to come to an exact conclusion.
Perfect. Lovely. Great answer. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So basically it is what it is, as she said and explained beautifully, is about the process technologies that transform raw data. What is the raw data? Raw data means which is not processed, where we have not started analyzing it. Raw data, it means the data which we immediately collect from the respondents. And when we have not started sourcing and reading it. Before that, before reading and analyzing the data, it is called as a raw data. And raw data into meaningful and useful information. So if I extract that information, I collected the data of all those people who are leaving the organization. I collected that data. Till the time I collect the data, it is raw. From that data, when I infer an information, okay, those particular locality people are leaving the organization, right? That particular variable is there for attrition. So that variable, when I infer that information, and that information I use for my business, so that I took a decision. What decision I took? I immediately took that we should comply the buses which are smaller in size. And that helped in reducing my attrition rate. That is particularly called as business intelligence. My business is becoming intelligent like me. Got it? Yeah, now, this is information maturity curve, right? What is it? Basically, HR information maturity and increased business value. We generally start with data and basic reporting, consolidate reporting, basic analytics, cross-process and functional analytics, and then we move to predictive analytics, right? This is how. So basically what is happening, why it is happening, what might be happening, and what is the solution. Just to make it a little more simpler, this is what it talks about, right? And these are the tools which we can use. So for example, if I'm trying to find out what is happening, that is called as a descriptive research. What difference across team, process, outcomes? What tools that I generally use this in research? I use Mean, I use t-test, ANOVA, chi-squares. When I do an exploratory research, like why is it happening? Why people are leaving my organization? Why so many people from that locality are doing? I generally use the tools like correlation, factor analysis, cluster analysis, right? When I do predictive, what effect will this have on my organization? I generally, so when I try to find an impact of one variable on another, effect of one variable on another, so people will leave my organization, what impact will it create? Then I generally use regression, neural networks, and decision trees. And when I do a prescriptive analysis, when I'm prescribing what we should do, what exactly solutions that you should give to the organization, you can give machine learning, Bayesian, all those things, experiences, vision, and all those tools that you can apply. Just to make it sum it up in the whole one slide that you can understand, right? This is what. Is it clear till here?
Yeah.
Last couple of slides are left. That's it. Are we good?
Yes, yes. Yeah.
All of us are good, right?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, cool. Let's move a little fast, quickly. Last 5 minutes, and I'm just finishing my slides. So these are the stages of analytics: reporting, analysis and monitoring, and predictive analysis. Generally, we take past data, where in that we do inferential analytics, descriptive analytics. These all details, I'm not going in depth detail of this particular slide, because in these 3-4 days, Ranjan Sen and Raj Desai sir are going to talk to you in details about it. That's why I'm not going in detail. Just to give you a macro level understanding is that these all data helps to, if you see the past data, helps you to predict the future, right? And it also helps you to get the current data, right? Current data will also help you to get the future and to understand what exactly you want to do. So this is basically 3 stages of analytics that we generally do, in which in-depth detail will be told to you, in the coming sessions. 3 levels, the same thing which we discussed in the beginning: efficiency, what range of resources, what is the appropriate level of investments, how should investable resource be allocated. That is to improve efficiency of the business, to improve effectiveness of business, like what unique combination of policies and practices would best build the necessary human capital, what factors link policies and procedures and practices to HR enhancement, what attributes distinguish effective from ineffective policies. So which policies are working, which policies are not working, making it more effective. And the last is impact, which sir has spoken about, that how is it linked to the business? What growth is it bringing to the business? Is it bringing some extra sales? Is it bringing some extra revenue? Is it increasing the tenure of my people? Is it increasing my competency? Is it also increasing my competitive advantage on my competition? What is it doing? What is the impact of it? All these questions are answered by HR matrix, right? So what an HR, who should or can do HR analytics? Who can do HR? Can you all do HR analytics? Everybody who's sitting in the room can do HR analytics?
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is here.
We can do it in our respective fields, right?
Yes. Yeah. HR analytics is an intersection of finance function to measure the financial impact on HR, IT function, HR function, marketing function. So you cannot say that I am core HR, so I don't want to know what is finance is doing, what is IT doing, what is other people are doing. I have to have an interaction with all of them, because that only will help me to take a decision, right? History shows that finance and IT are not well equipped to handle the people's side of the business. That's why we get into there. Shankar, is this slide answering your question, which you asked me in the starting? Right? So the human side with the numbers, where the HR analytics is important, right? Therefore, it should be HR that needs to own HR analytics. We cannot give this HR analytics to the other functions. Okay, data, analysts will come and they started taking HR analytics. We cannot. It is our domain. It is we who can do it, because we have a better understanding of all those things. Sorry if I sound a little too much towards HR, but that is what the reality is, right? And what competencies should HR build? We should have a business acumen. So when I started the point, when I said in the very beginning that we also are at fault when people say such things to us. Why? Because we lack in business acumen. What we think performance appraisal कर दिया हो गया, training कर दिया हो गया, recruitment कर दिया हो गया, compensation बना दिया हो गया, नहीं. We need to relate when we do a compensation, how much effect is it bringing to the business? If we do this right, if we don't do a right recruitment, what business will get affected with? If I don't give competitive, bonuses, how my people will leave me? Attrition will bring. So I need to have as an HR. I cannot say that I can do functions, so that's why I'm a good HR. I need to have a business acumen. I need to understand and read data. Don't get scared with the numbers. Initially, I used to get scared with the numbers and Excel sheet aate mein bhag jati thi, right? But now when I started learning it, I realized it's pretty simple. It's not a rocket science at all. So I need to be happy with the data. I need to, you should get, excited when you get results of it, when you solve it like a Sherlock Holmes. You should make relationship with management. You should have HR expertise. You should be good with communication and consulting so that you can put your points forward. You should know the systems and implementation. And you should also know what is happening globally and what is contemporary, right? So these are, start with strategy. So strategy, then challenges, get the insight, make actions, create an impact. That's what. Linking business strategy to benchmark. These are, so if you see this, I'll just take one example of the first block. When you grow the business, how do you want to grow? This is the strategy. Management ne bol diya, we want to grow the business. From 500 crores, we want to go to 1,000 crores. How will you go to 1,000 crores? You need to develop a leading high-performing team. How do you develop that? Increase work productivity, increase worker performance, drive leading practice, right? How do you do that? Increase work performance. Yes, you can do that if the revenue has been increased. Hire good people, right? You need to create a matrix of that. You need to tell them, okay, sir, if we do these things will happen. So this entire slide, the crux of this entire slide is whatever strategy management is making, whether to grow or to improve profitability or to get a greater market, whether it's a greater market, hold, and you need to have an answer from HR which can relate to the business. You just cannot say that I am HR, so I am just doing, I'll do compensation, draft kar denge, training dilwa denge. Only that will not be sufficient. Only will that not be sufficient. You need to talk from business sense. That's why productivity nowadays is being spoken so much. That how to improve the productivity of employees, how to improve the productivity. If the productivity is X, how to make it X plus delta X.
Really, we at 11.
Yeah, so just last
wind down, please. Yeah,
right.
Thank you.
Last is how are organizations currently using HR analytics? This is the simple data. You can just go through. I need not to explain on this. Currently, employee engagement is 63%. This is the recent data, which talks about that HR analytics talks a lot about engagement, 52% of performance, 48 retention, high performer, high potential employees, 45% percentage of developing plans, jobs, internal hires, diversity at workforce. Neha is at 27%.
So quick question. So what does it mean? I mean, 63% of organizations are focused on employee engagement.
63 employee engagement means 63% of people of organizations right now is concentrating more on employee engagement. 63%.
What is the matrices that they're most focused on?
More focused on.
Okay.
So they're more focused on engagement. They're least focused on level of expertise and competency. They're most focused on here, most of the organizations.
These are mostly US based data. Joe Burson, who is known as the father of modern HR analytics.
Yeah. Okay. So what should we get measured? These all things get measured. Training, workforce, recruitment, retention, and that's it. Right? It will help you what? These are some metrics which sir is going to talk to you. These are all 14, 15 metrics. Time to hire, cost, early, time to hire, revenue, performance and management, effectiveness of HR softwares, which to use, which not to use. Right? This is it. That's it. Thank you so much, guys, for listening to me for 1 hour. I'm sure that you must have taken 1 or 2 tips from this. I'm really thrilled to talk to you. Thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you, Shirley.
Thank you.
I'm sure that introduction is given a good start to the program. And we'll take a 15-minute break.
Yeah, 11:20.
And 11:20, we will be back.
Is that okay with all of you all?
Yeah?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Fine, sir.
Thank you.
11:20, we'll all be back.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
And
So
Vijay, this will be a very interesting session. So please, I know it's
stay awake.
middle of the night, but we'll really enjoy the next session.
Get a cup of coffee, Vijay.
You have put
Strong,
me in a spot now, haven't you?
strong,
You can miss a couple of other sessions, but I would say don't miss this next session.
strong cup of coffee, Vijay.
Well, I'm still trying to finish up this article on motivation, opportunity, ability, but yeah.
All right. Anyway, we'll share the recordings in case you do fall asleep or you're not able to stay up
I'll probably
tomorrow.
stay up for another half an hour, but
Okay.
honestly, it's
So
about 2 o'clock
when are
here.
we
So
getting the recordings?
At the end of the day, we'll send you the links. So I think by
Okay.
this evening I'll share the links.
Okay, okay. Because sir, our college is open, so we have to have some our professional works also, like classes and all. So we have to come to the college also. So that's why I got a 15 minutes. I just logged out because I have to
Okay.
travel from my
Okay.
home to college.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
why.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. By the end of the day, I'll share the recordings with
Okay, sir.
everyone.
Okay, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Is it now visible?
yes, thank you.
Thank you for bringing notice. Because Desa has moved out and I become the host and I didn't do that. Sorry. As I said, it's more about forward looking. How many of our HR matrices, how many of our HR reports, how many of our HR data is more forward looking than rear view? I want to ask you this question. Is it historical or are we looking at forward?
Historical.
Right. Very rarely forward, most of the time it is looking at the rear view mirror. So when we talk about business impact data-driven HR, it's about HR replacing the all too common reliance. Shirley said this, right? Opinions, intuition, hunches, trial and error, right? Automatically continuing of the post practices. This is what Infosys did. I want to replicate it here. This is what Accenture did. I want to replicate here. Google does this. I want to replicate here. These are the opinions. I had a canteen talk. This is my intuition, this is my hunch. And I told about my own boss who said, I can smell it, I can feel it. But then that's history. Going forward, we need to look at in terms of business impact data driven HR. Right? Instead, we should look at data, facts, analytics, charts, matrices, algorithms. I want to ask you, how many of you all are using algorithms in HR at this point of time? Are you even aware about how we can use algorithms in HR? Right? This silence tells us, right?
Not much. No, we are
Yeah,
not
but
much aware.
yeah.
Absolutely, right? Silence, and all of you are frank to admit that we are at a nascent stage in HR. But I can share with you later on how organizations are using algorithms to predict attrition, using algorithms to identify the high potentials, using algorithms to in succession planning. So therefore, rather than just relying on your opinions and intuitions and hunches and trials, it's about time that HR moves the direction of data, about analytics, about algorithms, trends to help us improve the accuracy and also the business impact of key HR decisions. And we need to move to real time and predictive metrics. Are we aware that today there are tools available in the market where you can track performance on a real time? To have performance measurement tools like performance management. Traditionally in organization, it's a once in a year affair, maybe twice in a year affair. Maybe the best case scenario, it's a quarterly affair. Right? You have goals at the beginning of the period, then at the end of the period, you have a review, and then you give a rating to a person, and then you come as an organization and say, where do we stand? But today there are tools. When people are talking about the death of the bell curve, the death of HR, what are they saying? It's about this, about once in a year appraisal. Now talking about real-time appraisal. There are tools, there are softwares, there are technologies available. For paucity of time, I can't go deep into it. It's now able to give you. Can you imagine a manager has got a small thermometer like on a screen. The left end is dark red, and the right end is dark green. Okay, he can see live at any point of time what is the performance of his team, whether it is dark red, is it orange, is it green, and then he will know where are we in terms of performance. So basically it's measuring vis-a-vis the KRIs, where are we in terms of achievement, and on a real-time basis the manager, the CEO, who may be, is able to see are we more towards the green, are we in the orange, are we in the red. Today we're talking about real-time analytics, which is then helping you to understand what are the trends and then therefore plan for the future through predictive matrices. Right. So we all agreed, right, that HR is the most, people are the most important assets and the competitive advantage. So therefore HR must become more strategic. How many of you all agree with me when I say that HR is mostly seen as tactical and operational, less of strategic? I know it hurts. I've also been an HR guy. Sometimes people wonder what is Ranjan, bashing HR, but let's also face the reality. I'm showing the mirror. Do you think HR is more strategic or more tactical and operational at this point of time?
So first it needs to be strategic. Then on the basis of that strategy only we need to be tactical and operational. Without strategic, how the tactical and operational things are going to happen?
Okay. Anyone else? Transactional. Hari is saying that. Right?
I think it's all the three.
All the three. Okay. Again, let me tell you from my experience, and I'll also share your data. HR is seen more transactional and operational at this point of time in most organizations. Maybe in some organizations, some progressive organizations, progressive HR, have seen more strategic, but largely when we talk about effectiveness and efficiency, it's all about operations. When you talk about impact, that is where we're talking about strategy. And when most of us are saying that we are in the pillar 1 and pillar 2, or column 1 and column 2, which is about efficiency and effectiveness, we are more tactical. We are more looking at the rear view mirror rather than the, look at this data. HR was ranked on the list as the least strategic function. Right? Sales was ranked as the highest, and HR was least strategic function. This is DDI survey, right? Which is one of the world's leading HR research organization. They have said sales was ranked number 1 and HR was ranked as the least strategic function. Right? Look at this. Of 18 business factors that contributed most to business outcomes, the number 1 with the highest impact was reducing operational cost structures. Today, especially with pandemic and even otherwise, right? Do you think growing the top line is easier or reducing the cost is easier? Managing the numerator is easier or managing the denominator is easier?
Reducing cost and then
Believe me,
that's what people do.
Pandemic or no pandemic, most organizations are comfortable dealing with the denominator, right? C.K. Prahalad said this, guys, don't look at the denominator, look at the numerator, right? Grow your revenue, don't focus on costs, but the reality, right? In reality, everybody is not able to grow at 10%, 15%, forget about even 10%, they're not even able to grow. In that scenario, what happens? There's a lot of pressure on cost, right? So therefore, this research also showing, KPMG research has showed that reducing operational cost structure was the number 1 priority and talent was ranked last, right? Surprising. Talent was dead last, 18 out of 18, right? When it comes to business impact, cost structures was the number 1 and talent was dead last. Now somebody asked this again, right, sometime back, what is the faith that CEOs have in HR metrics? Unfortunately, 12% of CEOs are confident with the quality of capital metrics, and this is again based on data and research. When it comes to finance, 95% of them have faith, but when it comes to HR reports, HR data, HR analytics, or HR's insights, when HR presents a report, only 12% of the CEO have faith in our data. But by the way, C-level executives rated new quality hires the most important performance metric, right? companies spend a lot of money, a lot of effort in hiring talent into the organization. And HR prides itself. I hired 1,000 people, I hired 40,000 people, I hired 25 people, I had so much talent. What is the quality of talent that you bring into the organization? And that is what makes the C-level executives wake up, right? So the quality of new hire was rated as the most important performance metrics, but sadly, only 12% of CEOs have faith in the quality of HR metrics, right? So where does HR rank among functional metric users? Look at the very interesting data, right? HR is dead last. R&D 13.2% as experts and poor 11.4%, and HR only 4.4% feel that HR are experts when it comes to functional metrics, and they are poor in terms of 16.7%. And the learning is compared to the executive team, HR has only 1/3 of experts and double the number of poor users. Shirley asked us, right? How much of talent is in demand? How many HR people are proficient with HR analytics or data or analysis? You see, you got the data over here. Only 1/3 of the HR are experts when it comes to analyzing data or managing data, and double the number of poor. They don't even have any idea what analytics is all about, right? That's the current state, and this is again based on big data research, right? So we have a lot to do to move up the hierarchy in the organizations to establish a credibility, right? Ram Charan has started talking about it. In fact, written a book that HR is dead. We had a lot of people now talking about the demise of HR. The primary reason is because of this. We don't see HR in terms of using data, in terms of trying to analyze what is it that we do that impacts the business. And because we're not able to articulate that what we do impacts business, our credibility is at stake and even our survival is at stake, and research data is also showing that. Look at this again, right? How are the executives rating our effectiveness in making a business case, right? I will share my example. I worked for a small company sometime back, way back, about 25 years back. It was a family-run small private enterprise, India's #1 animal health company. And I was the second HR professional to be hired by them. And then when I was making a presentation to the board, I was supposed to make a presentation to the board. I was working with the son who is director HR. It's all fancy titles. He was managing HR function. I was reporting into him. When I told him that, these are all the, suggestions I'm bringing to it, he said, my God, everything is money. I said, we need to improve our talent. We need to hire better people. We need to go to campuses to hire people. That costs money. We said our salary levels are low. We need to market corrections. Then I said, we need to, promote people. Then I said, we need to do these employee engagement activities. We need to organize this training, right? He said, everything costs money. In fact, when I told him that we need to performance appraisal every year and revise people's salary every year, he said, you're giving me a cultural shock. He said, okay, I understand. I agree with you, but Ranjan, we'll have to present it to the board, and my father and my uncles have to be convinced that because everything that HR is proposing to the board or to the CEO or to the leadership team costs money. When it comes to that situation, how good are we in making a business case? Right? This data shows that when it comes to managing costs, we are very good. When it comes to layoff, when it's saying reduction of travel expenses, reducing of training costs, reducing of HR policies and programs costs, we are very good at it. But when it comes to proving the value of HR to business, the data shows that we're almost second last. And then providing insightful and predictive workforce analytics that provide understanding of the people agenda in business is the last, right? And again, we are saying this, that we are not able to prove the value of HR to business. It's a nice to have, but is it a must to have function? Questions are arising now because we're not able to provide insightful and predictive workforce analytics to the business. And that's what we're going to see. This is from the Economist Intelligence Unit study, which is talking about rethinking HR in a changing world. Remember, I told you the demise of HR, the death of HR, a lot of books and articles have started coming. This is an article where they're talking about rethinking the HR in a changing world, right? So these are some of the top business challenges the CEOs, according to the CEOs, what are the business challenges? Look at this. We talked about it. The first was operational excellence, reducing cost. And of course, we're talking about customer relationships, regulation and risk, corporate brand and reputation, innovation, digitization, human capital, and sustainability. These are the top global business challenges. These are not ranked. Okay, these are just the data points by Conference Board, again one of the leading HR research organization, who have interviewed all the CEOs, top CEOs in the world, and then they said this is what the global business challenges according to CEOs. Somebody may say, okay, so what? What is this data? What is it talking about? Right? Look at this. Among the tops, the number one challenges they care about, right, is human capital, the workforce that we have, right? Customer relationship is tight, corporate brand and reputation is tight, operational excellence, then innovation, digitalization, regulation and risk, and sustainability. So human capital is definitely top of the mind when it comes to the business challenges for the CEOs. And this is for the fourth year in a row as per Conference Board survey. So they do a survey every year, and for fourth year in a row, for CEOs, human capital is the biggest challenge. We're seeing it day in on day out, right? Even in this COVID time, I just saw an article a few weeks back, last week I think, where the dropout ratio, right? The offer abort, people are taking offers and not joining, has increased 4 times since last year, right? There's a lot of demand for talent. People are taking offers and not joining organizations. And every organization wants talent, and therefore, what's happening? There's a price war out there, and it's pushing up cost of people, especially in India, right? The human capital, in spite of the fact of 1.4 billion in India and 7.5 billion people in the world, getting good talent, good human capital is still a challenge as per CEO survey for the fourth year in a row. And 4 of the 5 top challenges require outstanding employees. Who's going to drive customer relationships? Who is going to help in terms of building a corporate brand or building a reputation or credibility of the organization? Who is going to help you in terms of operational excellence? Who's going to help you in terms of innovation digitalization? It is people, it is talent. And that's why talent is the most important. Would you agree that it's for time for bold changes when we are still the top challenge after 4 years? We still are and therefore we need to relook at things differently. So these are some of the primary goals that we have. We need to rethink and challenge our current metrics approach, right? We also need to clearly demonstrate the difference between a so what metric approach and an oh my god actionable business impact metric. We'll see that. Where a CEO metric is attention grabbing, it should capture the attention of the CEO. It should force the CEO to take action, and that action measurably improves business results, right? And that is what we mean by oh my god metrics. We'll see that as we go. We'll have some exercise also. So we must come up with metrics which is going to grab the attention of the CEO and not put him to sleep. It should force the business and the CXOs to drive action, and it must measurably show that it improves business results. When you have such matrices, then it's going to be focused and attended by your CEOs. Otherwise, if it's just your run-of-the-mill approach, like a report like the manpower report, training report, attrition report, retention report, recruitment report, it's not going to be linked to the CEO to look at it in depth. And the third goal is to show you the high business impact HR areas that most CEOs would want to know about. What are those 80-20 rules that when you apply, 20% of your HR policies or strategies or initiatives which are impacting 80% of the business? That is what the CEO wants to look at. I did tell you in the beginning that we have 450 metrics is one of the workshop. Fine, but those are my weapons that I have. But what weapon do I use? What weapon do I showcase? Should use that 80-20 principle, which is what the CEO wants you represent that particular data. So the first category of HR metrics are so what metrics. Okay. They generate no action or interest on part of the CEO. They actually drive yawn. They don't drive action. The CEO starts yawning. Many of us talked about offer acceptance rate. So what? Number of training hours offered, compensation cost per employee, workers' compensation cost per employee, average days of vacation used per employee. This is what, if you see, most of your HR scorecard will have. You agree? When you ask any HR cross section of HR in most organizations, if you ask them what is it that the report has, is mostly about these: your recruitment report, your training report, maybe your compensation report. Many of them don't, right? They work. Yes, the slides, whatever I am sharing, I will share with all the people. And I always believe in sharing knowledge is, gaining knowledge. You're not able to hear me.
Yes, Ranjan, we can.
We can hear you, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think she's writing it in our chat that.
I know. Okay.
Yeah.
So these are some of your so what matrices that most of us are showcasing to business. But now we need to go to a higher. So I want to ask you this: is a higher or low number better metric? A high, supposing I come and tell you I had 18% attrition, or I come and tell you 8% attrition, which is better?
Lesser is better in case of attrition.
Okay.
And retention, higher is better in case of retention.
Okay. Anyone else? See, what if I told you, yes, I had 18% attrition, but you know what? My attrition of top talent, high potentials, was only 2%.
Okay.
And another HR manager comes and says, sir, you know what? We only had 12% attrition. Wow. But you know what? The CEO will say, I lost 50% of my high potentials. So now tell me which is better, 18% or 12%? Which will the CEO be more interested in, the 18% attrition or the 12% attrition?
Of course, where the high performers are leaving less. I mean,
Right.
less high performers. Yeah.
So therefore, keep this in mind, right? A higher or low number by itself is of no use to CEO. That is where most of the time HR plays with data to confuse the CEO. I told you, the cost per head. Many times we say this, what is called as the switch premium or the cost of hire we brought down, sir. We go and put our collars up and then we say this. But what if I told you, as a result of that, I only got cheap quality of hires. I didn't hire people from Google or Amazon or Apple because they are expensive. I only went and hired from tier 2, tier 3 companies, and therefore brought down my cost. I did not, my policy says switch premium maximum 20%. I can't give more than 20%. So I lost a lot of good talent. So cost of per hire by itself is not a very good indices. These are some of the examples of low number or better number, right? Time to fill, because fast hiring might be careless. In my earnestness to show good figures for recruitment, my average hiring time to fill was 45 days last year, and now I brought it down to 35 days. But in that process, I was careless in hiring, and I didn't get the best of the talent in the organization. Benefit costs. I'd done away with insurance policy. I'd done away with home office policy. Great, you look good on cost, but then I also got hurt in terms of retention because my attrition went up. Right? Absence rate. Coming to work sick is expensive, especially now in COVID times. If you force a person to say that you must come and work because there's only one leave in a month, who are sick may report to work, and sometimes it can be risking the entire organization, especially in these times of pandemic. So coming to sick is expensive.
And mute, mute all. Sir, can you just mute all?
I'm trying to, yeah, I'm muting it. Okay. similarly, a tenure, don't cost go up with tenure. I keep asking this as part of my program. I tell people, I want to ask you all, there is this person who is for 4 consecutive years is rated as 3, right? He is a solid performer. He is meeting his objectives. Whatever goals are given to him, he's met his objectives 4 years in a row, but he doesn't have the potential to grow in the organization, to be promoted. You have now come to the 5th year, and then you have to take a call on him. What would you do? What will HR do? 4 years he's met objectives, he's a solid performer, but doesn't have the potential to grow in the organization. You have to know you're doing a people review or a talent review meeting, and what is it as an HR you'll suggest, or what is it as a leadership team you'll do with this particular person? What will you do? Will you retain him? Will you redeploy him? Will you promote him? Will you terminate him?
We can
So we'll
challenge him with slightly tough targets. Challenge him with tougher targets. Stretch.
Yeah, 4 years you've tried it, right? Okay, fair enough. Anybody else?
Explore different role for that person, which is matching to his next level potential or leveraging his potential for the next level thing.
Right. But you know what most organizations are doing now? They're terminating the person. They're giving a golden handshake. Right? Why? Because 4 years, the 5th year, every year you have to give him an increment because he's met the expectations. So probably you'll have to give him 8% or 10% was the average increment in the past few years, except now, last 2 years, but otherwise, right? So every year his cost goes up by 10%. Supposing he was at 10 lakhs, now after 4 years, his cost would have been say around 14 lakhs. And then this year when you increase his salary, it will be about 15 lakhs. Right? Whereas the market salary of that particular position is only about 12 lakhs. So you're already giving him 120% of the market. Why would I want to retain a person doing the same job and keep increasing his salary? I would rather hire a junior at a lower cost, maybe at 80% of the market. So I'll hire somebody at 10 lakhs, save 5 lakhs. And imagine if you're an organization like Infosys or Accenture or Google with 50,000, 100,000 people, look at the amount of cost, right? And in that scenario, HR goes and says, you know what, the average tenure of my organization has gone up from 6.6 to 7 years. By itself, it's not a great number. Are you retaining the people you want to retain, or are you retaining people whom you don't want to retain? And as a result of your high tenure, has your cost of employment gone up? Remember, Shirley talked about correlation, right? The trends. So purely numbers by itself, high or low, doesn't make sense. But most of the time, you look at all your reports. I don't think we need to share it here or confess over here. But look at all the HR reports. Most of it is only talking about this. But there is no correlation between cost of hire and the quality of hire. Is there a correlation between time to fill and the quality of hire? Is there a correlation between benefit cost and retention? Are we projecting a data in terms of absence versus sickness and then employee engagement? Are we talking about tenure versus cost? And this is where, that's why the CEOs are not interested, because we are purely showing numbers as we shown it in bold over here. Am I making sense? Is it catching your attention to start with and starting, kindle your thinking? You agree?
Yes, I mean, sorry, this is Sarath here. So I guess one thing that I've noticed is that it's also why we like internally got to reporting from, Excel spreadsheets to something like a Power BI. Because half the time, like it's one thing on an Excel or a spreadsheet, it's possible for us to keep repeating or turning around monthly metrics. But then each time the question that comes back to us is very different from the leadership.
Right.
And every time they require a deeper dive. And last year we moved to Power BI because it's something that the leadership during their calls can actually play around the numbers with. and do a deep dive there and then itself to answer those questions, rather
Absolutely.
than be looking at the same, for example, like in your case, the tenure that you stated by itself, like you said, means nothing unless you actually, do a cross analysis with other parameters. So yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I just want to add on to what Sarah talked about. So I think it's a bang on point where what happens is like month on month or based on the need which CEO keeps asking us, we are more reactive in our approach in terms of providing those analytics, and then sustaining it further is actually a difficult thing. So something you did share a slide around a lot of tools, which is, let's say, Tableau or something around it, which would really be helpful. And at any point of time they can simply go there and we can enable them much better to do some yeah thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but then what in this particular case, what we're talking about is most of the time HR is representing data or showing data or reports which are standalone. Rarely are we able to correlate it with other variables in the organization, and that is why it doesn't capture the attention of CEOs. And number by itself, that's high or low, doesn't really matter because there are so many other variables tied to it, right? Turnover. Low turnover could mean a low turnover, right? So I have a low attrition, but then maybe I'm retaining all the duds and I'm losing all the good people, and therefore it's affecting my revenue, and therefore my turnover comes down, right? So attrition by itself is of no use to a CEO unless you're correlating it or linking it with business, right? So CEOs would be confused. Should I act or be happy? Or HR is confused. Should I be act or should I be happy? Right? So I'm going to now look at it in a different way. So the oh my god approach changes your how you report your metrics. Let's take that example, right? Changing the way turnover is reported changes it from so what into an oh my god metrics. Look at this. CEO cares about metrics that show them they must act immediately. Our standard turnover report is like this. I had an 18% turnover rate. I just told you about this, right? Among the 18%, 98 salespeople left. Now the CEO is going to get, okay, oh my God, I lost 98 people. But we aren't concerned because it seems like every firm in the industry is having sales turnover problem. Okay, but I'm concerned, but okay, so what? Everybody loses people. So what next? So let's shift to a oh my God metrics. If I was a CEO looking at the same metrics, right? Of the 98 that quit, 26 were top ranked performers, right? I had an 18% turnover, of which 98 salespeople left, and 26% were top ranked performers. You know what? In the vacant sales territory, we lost 10 million customers, big ticket customers we lost in 4 areas because of attrition. And also the turnover resulted in 303 sales vacancy days because we were not able to fill that position in 303 vacancy days. At an average $4,000 per day, we lost $1.2 million in terms of opportunity lost. And you know what? The new hires performed 8% below those they replaced. And you know what? I lost in terms of money. When I calculate 8% of 80K turnover or revenue, I lost $79 million a year. I know 50% or $13 million of that was preventable. I could have retained those people. And 26% of the turn went to competitors. And the total cost of attrition was 166 million or 6.2% of the corporate revenue. I want to ask you, has anyone represented data like this to your CEO?
Never.
Imagine if you were able to present this data. And then he went and told them, you know what? The budget given by CFO for HR for salary increase is 6%. I think 6% is too low. I want 10%. Will he approve or will he not approve? Hello? If HR goes and asks for, pardon?
No, absolutely. Yeah. Making that connection to the bottom line definitely helps.
Exactly. So this is where the problem is. We just just put number of attrition in terms of turnover, but by itself is of no use. But if you are able to present that data in this form and then convert it into numbers and say in terms of dollars, it cost us 166 million or 6.2% of our corporate revenue. And you know what? The projected turn for next year is 15%. The turnover projected next year is 15%. So the CEO is going to wake up. The CFO is going to stand up and then say, okay, guys, tell me, what is it you want to help me reduce this loss of 166 million? And by the way, the stay interview cool cuts turnover by half. And HR has been asking the support of business for stay interviews, but has not been getting it, right? And you know what? We gave a salary increase of 4%. The market paid out 6%. So HR did a great job, reducing people cost. Then in their report said, my salary increment was only 4%. But look at what happened as a result of that. $166 million or 6.2% of corporate revenue was lost. You kept your salary low, increments were low, even though the market paid out more, and look at what happened to it. And then next year, if you go and say, sir, I want 10% increment next year, you get the support or not? As Sharad said, yes. And this is what we mean by business case. This is what we mean, oh my God, metrics. And this is not you need to go and present to the business.
President, if I may add on to that, so my ground reality is that I would love to connect my HR metrics all the way down to the business end.
Right.
But the fact is, you're assuming that one, you're able to connect and link the various metrics to finance. But even if you can to the P&L, you may not necessarily be measuring billing hours, mapping it by project specifically to even have those numbers ready to jolt down on a monthly basis. So it's a lot of connections, and it's a systemic issue, at least for me, the workspace, where we don't have those systems in place to even measure. So we don't have the data, much less to be able to build a dashboard or a metric. So most of the issue for me is honestly on the ground, setting up metrics around it or getting people to put in data so we can actually start measuring it, much less connecting it or presenting it to leadership.
I agree. Right? As some time back Shirley was saying, we need to have a collaboration with finance, IT, and HR to generate this data. And she also said that first we need to collect data, right? How do we collect data? Then how do we interpret that data? And then what are the insights and trends that we are seeing? And then what are the actionables which are there out of that, right? I'm sure, initially it's going to be difficult. We know a change, right? It's going to be denial that this data is not available. This is not possible. But if you put effort, if you put time, and if you put some money, it is possible. And today there are tools. There are software tools. There are advanced tools. The business is talking about business, big data. What is Amazon? What is Google? What is Facebook all doing? They're working on data. Data is there out there. It's just that we do not know where to collect it, how to collect it, and how to measure it. We'll come to that a little bit, but if you're able to present your data in this form, I'll share with you a couple of more examples, then the impact on business and the credibility of HR and the CEO is going to say, oh my God, what is HR saying is sense. A CFO, why are we not giving them 10% budget for increment next year? And why did we give only 4% increment this year? Because now I've got a business case. I've shown them in numbers what has happened because of that, how many sales guys are lost, how much it created vacant territories. As a result of that, how much of opportunity loss that I had, for the people who came, and then whom did I lose to, and then as a result of that, what was the total cost which got impacted to the organization, and then you know what, we paid lesser than market. And therefore, next year when I go and ask for a higher increase, or if I ask for a mid-year salary review, I'm going to get support. So the quantified reporting approach is guaranteed to get the CEO's attention. Right? Another one. This is a standard recruitment report. Filled 980 positions. Fulfillment rate 84%. Average turnaround time offer 45 days. Average turnaround time 91 days for joining. Average cost of hire 19,800. Average switch premium 16%. From a layman point of view, from an HR point of view, does it look great? I'm sure most of your reports must be like this. And we all have this in our reports. It looks great, right? I think 980 positions is a big ask, right? A fulfillment rate of 84% is good. And your offer turnaround time 45 days, your joining turnaround time 91 days, cost of hire just less than 20,000 bucks, and an average switch premium of 16% when the market is generally about 20-22%. But again, I'm coming back to that old number. So what? Look at this. If I were to say I filled 988 position, but of which 14 were leadership hires, 65 in frontline sales which generated 14.3 million revenue, and 195 was hired from competition. Then the CEO is going to stand up, or a CFO or a CXOs, they're going to be interested. Because the CEO and CFO want to look at these data. Just number of 980 positions, so what? But in that, what are the leadership hires that you hired? How many you hired from competition? What was the improvement in terms of sales as a result of this? Fulfillment rate was 84%, great. But you know what? 16% of the positions that weren't filled cost a loss of 17.8 million. Somebody may say it's a half glass empty and half glass full. But you also need to look at the half glass empty from a CEO point of view. What was opportunity loss? Business is all about opportunity cost. Do you all agree? Business is all about opportunity cost. Agree?
Absolutely, Ranjan. Yeah.
But how many times HR thinks about opportunity cost or opportunity loss?
Very rare.
Right? That's the reason. So fulfillment, don't look at it only from the opportunity achieved, but also in terms of opportunity loss. Average vacancy days was 123 days. I fulfilled 84%, but you know my average vacancy day was 123 days. Imagine the amount of loss to the company because of vacancy days. And vacancy period cost 17.8 million versus 21 million last year. HR went and said, I only lost 17.8 million versus last year, but my average vacancy day is 123 days. Not on time. People say 65 positions were 65% of the positions were filled within 45 days. But 78% of critical positions were filled within, of which only 78% of critical positions were filled within 45 days. 22% of critical positions were filled after 45 days. Right? Not on time. 78 positions were filled within 91 days, and of which only 64% of critical positions were filled in 91. That means 36% of critical positions were not filled within 91 days. So you can imagine the loss to the company. Does any one of us present data like this? It's about time when you start presenting your data or manpower data or recruitment data. Start looking at it. Slice and dice it so that you're able to capture. Otherwise, you know, it's just he gets an email, he'll pack it into a folder. If you want them to really go through it and then once take action and it's going to support you for budgets, you need to slice and dice data and present it in this way. You know what? The average cost of hire was 19.8%, but internal versus external hire is only 18%. So that means 82% of the time I was hiring externally, and only 18% of my talent was filled within internally. You can imagine 82% of the hire of 980 positions, which is about 800 positions, multiplied by 20,000 rupees, what's the cost to the company? So you need to look at it in terms of build versus buy or internal versus external hire. Great, you did a great job in switch premium, 16%. HR goes and puts it up, but when you go deep into it, you find my offer about was 18%. That means 18% of the people didn't join me, and in that, 52% of them were critical positions. So merely a switch premium of 16% makes you look good, but when you go deep dive and you find it has resulted in that 52% of critical positions did not join the organization. You put a lot of time, money, and effort in identifying talent, going through the process of selection, gave them an offer, and they didn't join. Right? So this is what the CEO and the CFO want to look at. And then when you go and tell them that, you know what, because you put pressure on me, CEO and CFO, I had to bring down my switch premium. Actually, you know what, the industry is 22%. If I want to stay competitive and if I want to get the best talent, I may even want 25% or 30% switch premium. Please permit me. He is likely to approve if he sees this data. In the absence of this data or representing your report in this format, chances are that you're not going to get that. Right? So what we'll do is now we'll have a small exercise. I want you all to work in 5 groups. One taking out talent acquisition, one talent engagement, one performance management, one compensation management, and one training and development. And then I want you all to look at 2 or 3 matrices, ordinary metrics. We just talked about it, right? The manpower data, recruitment data, or training data, and then convert them into oh my god metrics. Is that doable? Would it be interesting for you people?
Yes,
I would
definitely.
try it.
I think it will help think through some of the things that we're already doing.
Right. I want you all to what's happening to meeting rooms here. Does anybody see here? Is Raj here?
Sir is here.
Raj?
I just saw him, but I think he dropped off.
We have to, I think, enable meeting rooms.
Meeting rooms, yes, yes. Give me a minute. I'm just calling him. Just give me a minute.
Otherwise, also, I think you all can informally otherwise form 5 groups within yourself. Unfortunately, the meeting room, I don't know what's happened. I'm not able. Please just right. So you all can start thinking individually now till we get the meeting rooms. You can take any one of these 5 and then take one matrix and then convert into oh my god matrix. Is that doable? We'll take about 10 minutes each individual. In the absence of a group, let's look at individually, then we can convert to a group a little later. Take one of these 5 areas, take at least 2 or 3 metrics, and then convert them into oh my god metrics. Okay, we will take 10 minutes time, then come back and maybe 5 minutes we will discuss and share among ourselves. Okay, y'all can start now. We take it for granted that meeting room is always there, but I don't see this.
I'm trying to reach him. I think, or else I will call Manoj sir. He can immediately get into because
yeah, you have to configure that at the back end.
Yeah, he can configure in the back end because Raj sir's number is not reachable.
Okay. Okay, so take up one HR area in one of those 5 and then work on 2 or 3 HR metrics and convert them, or just take one to start with as an individual and then look at how you can convert into an oh my god metrics. Minutes we'll spend time on this.
Spoken to Raj sir. Sir, he's coming in.
Yeah. So this was the earlier group which worked on this. So I hope you all are working on that.
So Ranjan, did you need some help with?
Yeah, we are not able to break out into breakout rooms. So you need to configure at the back end.
Okay.
Administrator has to configure meeting rooms in the back end.
Okay. So do you want people to be randomly allocated or
It's okay. Randomly is fine.
randomly is fine? No. Okay.
You done that, Raj?
1 minute. I'm just trying to figure that out. How can I allocate people into that meeting room randomly?
When you organize the training, the meeting invite, there only you need to have a configuration.
Yeah, on the meetings.
Anyway, Raj, for now we will do it individually, but
Yeah.
you got to figure it out.
Yeah, I'll just look into it while you continue with your session. I'm just looking through all the options to check where we can configure.
Another 5 minutes, and then I will require a couple of volunteers to share how they converted an ordinary metrics into an oh my god metrics. I'll put an example here for your reference.
Okay, I'm allowing breakout rooms for you.
No, it's too late, Raj. It's going to take more
Okay.
time. Next one, I'll do it. Yes, Sharat. Okay,
Sir, if you are going to do it in the training and development part, then what we are going to do that? The new hires, they performed 8%?
No, training development, what are the, you tell me what the metrics you're talking about.
Okay.
And then we have to convert to an OMG. Normally, what do we say? We
I'm not,
conducted 25 programs, right? Trained 250 people, 1,100 man hours of training. No,
okay.
the average satisfaction training satisfaction score was 4.5 on 5. My training cost, I spent so much rupees, which is about 0.6% of my budget. It's a normal report, right? Training report.
Yeah, I understood.
Now we have to take one of them and convert it into a business, which business is going to be interested. It's going to be an oh my God metric.
Okay.
Okay. So, the paucity of time, I would like to start now. Would a couple of people come forward and share how they've used a normal HR metrics and converted into an oh my God metrics? Anybody wants to volunteer?
Yeah, sir, I would like to volunteer.
Please.
Anyway, I just require your suggestion also whether
Sure.
this is fine or not. So I've taken the training and development front. In that, one of the normal, I have taken three normal metrics. One is return on investment on frontline sales force training. Okay. So if I convert this as my oh my God matrix, then I would say we have spent 35 lakhs for this year on training frontline force, which has increased the sales revenue from their performance, from the frontline sales performance, from 23% to 36%.
Okay.
So this is one. And
Right.
one more is on the development plans that we do for the managers on an annual basis. This is one of the normal metrics. So the oh my God metrics would be because of this development plans, it has helped us in getting the managers to the next level, as well as cross-functional skill development for them. So this has helped in reducing the number of external hiring.
Right.
Because we are developing internal resources for various opportunities internal.
So just go back to the previous one, right? What you talked about, you said about
ROI on
yeah.
frontline force.
How can we improve on that? Tell me. I want to ask others also to pitch in. How can you improve? Before I give you an answer, I want to check from you all. How do you think you can improve that further? That particular example, what he gave, 35 lakhs spent on training for salespeople. How can you improve on that further to make it by itself? Okay, he said the sales revenue increased by how much?
23% to 36%.
Okay, right. How can I improve that further? And then, how will a sales or your CEO believe that actually you impacted sales from 23 to 36%?
So Ranjan, it's going to be sales per employee that has increased from like some percentage to some percentage, and based on what specific training program the person would have undergone. So that's one metric.
Okay, I want you to look at this. Look at this particular slide. You can see, right? 10 data points are put here. You're only giving one data point. You said I spent 35 lakhs and it improved my revenue from 23% to 36%, right? But how will business believe that because of you it happened? Why not because of market forces or because of some luck which happened, or because the market got dried up because the competition could not deliver? How will you prove that? You're right. It's interesting.
Maybe we can take the pre-training data of performance of the frontline sales force and then the performance post-training.
Okay, it's the same, right? It may be because of some luck or some there was a bumper monsoon, or because the taxes were reduced, and therefore it shows that
So customer satisfaction scores probably would have improved from what it was.
So you'll have to look at other variables, right? So you can say, as you rightly said, as a result of this training, what happened? My employee engagement score went up.
we can take this person's their performance also.
I
Sales
agree.
funnels performance also will matter here if the sales has been increased.
What I would do is, um,
I mean, maybe compare it to the overall performance
Raj,
of
you have to,
the.
sorry, Raj, you have to record it. I can't, I don't have the permission to record. Okay, sorry.
Recording is on, not to worry.
It is
It's
recorded.
on. Yeah.
So what I would do is, I will first start saying that what was my employee engagement score before training? What was my employee engagement score after training? Then I will say what was my employee satisfaction score before? What was the employee satisfaction score after? What was my attrition before? What was my attrition after? And then, because my attrition was less than last year, so many vacant positions were less, and therefore the vacant territory were less. And after all this, I will say, you know what? My revenue per employee grew from 23%, 36%, and therefore you must put your revenue numbers or business numbers last, but then you'll also have to put in between what are all the other variables which help you drive those business results. In the absence of those variables, just saying that I did this program and this was the outcome and favorably it went up from 20 to 36, they may not believe you. They may not take it that serious. But if I am able to say these are some of the drivers which help me achieve that business result, then the likelihood that people are going to take it more seriously or the credibility is much higher. Are you able to understand the linkage?
Yes, sir. Got it.
Right? So this is a beautiful example we gave, right? We generally say this is the number of programs, this was the average cost, this is what. And then maybe now because you attended Ranjan's program or ISME's program, you will say, okay, this is what the revenue increase. But then they ask you, how did that revenue increase? Is it because of HR's intervention? Or is it because of market forces? Or is it because of nature or because of some taxation policy? And therefore you need to have some additional variables to justify the fact that because of HR intervention, this all happened, and because all this happened, therefore my revenue went up. And then therefore you're able to link the revenue to all your HR initiatives and then justify whatever you did. Got it?
Okay. Okay, got it, sir. Thank you.
Right. Anyone else? Maybe one more example, then we'll move on. We finished training. Any other area? One of those 5 functional areas?
On the chat, there's a comment, Ranjan, if you'd like to look at it.
Yeah, but I
We
want
need to prove it was causally related.
Agreed. But now I want people to come and share one matrix and then say how they convert it into a. I said correlated to business results and other HR variables.
So one of the thing probably I can take up, Ranjan. So around compensation management.
Pardon?
So around compensation management.
Right. Okay.
So typically what we say is, and if I link it to the exit or the attrition data, what we say is, let's say 40% of the exits are because of compensation. That's one usual metric what we share. But when we talk about OMG matrix, we can say that, okay, we can actually link it to the benchmark and say that, okay, 40% of the people who left the organization due to compensation, their compensation was, let's say, 60% less than the market benchmark. And that is the reason, why they are leaving. So that would give one analytics in terms of we have to correct the compensation or something around this. We can also.
I didn't get you, Neha. What was your original metric, which is a standard metric with HR reports?
So standard metric is around attrition and linking it to compensation, that 40% of people who left the organization, the reason was compensation.
Okay.
And when we, extend it further, one of the reason would be that those people who left the organization, so where are they with respect to the, market data? So, in terms of the market ranges, where are they? So that could be one additional or extended information in terms of analytics we can share.
I would like to slice and dice it further.
Okay.
Right? I will say, okay, attrition per se is not it's not a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
Who are the people whom we lost? You need to understand, right? How many of this attrition was high potentials? Okay. Second, you may have to look at data in terms of how many of those people whom you lost to competition. Okay, and then you'll have to see as a result of attrition what was the opportunity loss in terms of revenue, and then correlate it with the cost that you saved as a result of reading your increment or budget or whatever may be. Right? Then you'll also have to slice and see data and see how many of your people, what is your compare ratio in your company? Is it 86%, 90%? And then also find out how many of your is your high potential talent above 100% of market, are they below market? All these variables you have to bring and then correlate it with attrition, then people are going to buy it. But simply saying attrition was the main cause for attrition was compensation, getting a buy-in from management and then saying, you know what, therefore give me an increment of 10% next year, the chances are the CEO is not going to be impressed. But if you can bring in all these parameters, who are the top people whom we lost? Were we retaining people whom we don't want to retain or losing people whom we want to retain? Did I lose my people to competition? If CEO knows that he lost people to competition, obviously he's going to be worried, right? So what will you do in terms of retention? And therefore you'll get support for retention program. You'll have to link all these variables and then say as a result of this, like Shirley said, research, right? I'm a Sherlock Holmes, and therefore I deduce that because of compensation, I lost 40% of my people, and therefore I want support in terms of increased budget for increment next year.
Right.
Right? Okay. Maybe we can have these discussions offline, or you can always reach out to me for support later. This is how we look at converting ordinary matrices into oh my god matrices. Okay.
Professor, with respect to the training part, I have a question here.
Yeah.
So, if at all we connect certain projects with the training program, I'm giving you this training, and based on this training, these are the projects that you need to complete. The results of the projects, can they be directly related to the ROI of the program?
Yeah, see, that's $1 million question, right? What you're talking about is training effectiveness, right? And you know the Kirkpatrick's model, and nobody
Exactly.
really mastered it in terms of trying to. That's why I said you have to find out what are all the drivers which your HR initiatives, go and which help in achieving the project completion. So merely two data points will not support. If you can have some in-between data points, I did this training and therefore the confidence level of the person went up and therefore the engagement level went up, his satisfaction or whatever may be, or maybe. And then as a result of that, the project completion took place instead of 45 days, it was completed in 42 days. Or the customer satisfaction increased from 4.2 to 4.3. If you had all these additional variables and then come to the conclusion that because of training the project was completed, then the chances are the business is going to accept it. But merely saying that I did this training and you know what, they achieved this the business result and therefore I take credit for it, your luck. Right?
I was coming to the say, for example, a Six Sigma project. That's a training that we do, and as a result of the training on the Six Sigma, people have taken up specific projects,
Right.
and those projects have yielded business results. So that's where I was coming at.
Okay. You're talking about business improvement re-engineering projects as a part
Yeah.
of Six Sigma project.
Yeah.
Right. I was talking about the other one, the general training programs which we organize, right? Leadership programs, technical programs.
Okay.
And then you come and say that in that context I was talking about. Okay, let's see, the CEO would want to know the performance differential. Right? What is the percentage of increased output added by top performers? Data shows that top 1% of your workforce produce 10 times our expected output. The 80-20 principle, 1% of the workforce produce 10% of your company's output. The top 5% of your company produce 26% or 5 times your expected output. So here again some more data points for you. Innovator produces what multiple more, right? In a G or a Netflix or a Yahoo, an innovator or a high potential employee produces 10 times the average, right? A Virat Kohli is scores 10 times the normals of an ordinary employee. In G, Netflix and Yahoo. In Apple, high potential produces about 25 times, or what you call innovator, or the superstars in the organizations. They produce 25 times more than average. This is data, this is research, it's not mine. Google, 300 times more than the average. So if you are a high potential in Google, the top 20% of the company, based on performance and potential, are likely to produce 300 times more than the average, right? So 80-20 employee, you must use this 80-20 and prioritize employees. You must identify who are those top 10 or 20% of your people who are producing the 80% of the impact. And therefore, you should be able to quantify data and differentiate data in terms of a differentiated approach. And not, it is great to come and say, my average performance rating last year was 3.8. I know how many of you all bring out this as part of your report. What was your average performance rating in the company? And I'll tell you my own experience. One of the companies I work, it's a large organization. I don't want to name them. And the CEO was telling me, Ranjan, what is happening in this company? The average performance rating is 4.1. But you know what? My company only grew by 5%. So, despite all your performance, the HR will come and say that what, my employees' performance rating. Somebody talked about it, right? Performance rating. Performance went up by 4.1, 4.1 on a 5. It's a very, very good score. But what was the business impact? Only 5%, right? So, performance differential is also something which is going to be interesting for the CEO of the business using the 80-20 principle. Coming back to that recruitment, right? The focus must be on higher priority jobs. Look at an 80-20 principle. What are those 20% of those hires which is going to have 80% of impact the business? So does any one of your recruitment report has these things? Do you come out with the report that says who are the top sales managers, revenue generating positions, people that are innovators, product development positions, executives, top recruiters of salespeople? Also hire into already measured jobs. How many of the people you hired away from competition? How many of the people that you hired have leadership capabilities and next year became high potentials or later on became leaders in the organizations? Who are those people who stayed? Among them, who are the top? Are they in the top 20? Are the high potentials who stayed? So tenure by itself, we talked about it. So tenure in terms of high potentials, in terms of leadership, that's what matters. And then hire those with higher trajectory. Okay, I had a lot of people, but what is the career path? What was the somebody stayed for 7 years? In that 7 years, did he move 3 positions, or did he just get promoted once, or didn't get promoted in once? So these are all the different ways you should look at in terms of projecting your manpower data and your recruitment data. Simply saying that I hired 980 positions is of no use. But in that, if you say on that, what? Of the 980, there were 98 people who were in the sales position, and in that, about 27 of them were the top sales manager of last year. And you know what? The new guys who joined generated revenue greater than last year in so much of the places. And these are the people who brought into R&D, and they've come up with new products or innovations or patents, right? So these are the ways in which you're going to slice and dice data and present data, which is going to attract the attention of the CEO. So you should stop this equal treatment of hiring, and then you should focus on jobs that really matters, right? Your fulfillment ratio may be only 66%, no problem. But in that, your fulfillment ratio of high potentials or leadership positions or revenue generating positions was 90% is fine with me. But if you have another case where you had a higher fulfillment ratio of 84%, but the number of people hired in terms of high potentials or revenue generating positions are much lesser, I would rather go with the lower score. Therefore, use the 80-20 principle and focus on jobs that really matter when it comes to recruitment. And that is what you should be projecting to the top management. Look at this. Weak employee causes errors and disruptions each year. Again, this is based on research. Up to 2.25 times the annual salary. In my earnestness to reduce my cost of hire, I went and hired cheap labor. Or in my earnestness to reduce my hiring time, my time required to hire people, I reduced it because I want to look good. But what happened? I hire weak employee, and that costs 2.25 times the salary. A manager must spend how much percentage of time dealing with them? 1 day a week. Robert Half research says that 17% of the manager's time is spent in dealing with weak employees. So imagine if a hiring manager ends up with one person, he has to spend 17% of his time. And toxic employees make their teammates 54% more likely to quit. He will not quit, but all 54% around them are more likely to quit. Therefore, who are the people whom I retain? Am I retain the good people, or am I retain the people I want to lose? Retention by itself is not a great thing, but retention of whom did you retain? So therefore, recruitment, we have to be very careful and then try and analyze it in terms of what are the quality of hires that we brought in the organization, and not in terms of money, in terms of time. And that is the reason why sometimes recruitment reports, people don't take it very seriously, or in many organizations, recruitment is taken over by business. Do you know that? In many IT companies, recruitment manager does not report to the CHRO. He reports into business. Do you all agree?
Yes, Ranjan. Yeah.
There is something called resource manager in IT companies, enterprise resource planning. They are the ones who take up recruitment, and it's not left to the HR because of this. Bad ones stay forever. Weak hires must stay 20 years, multiplying the negative effect because they can't get a job elsewhere. So that's why I say let's clean the house and send them to competition. Okay. Somebody talked about return on investment, right? The CEO cares about their labor investment, return on labor investment. Let's compare some of the productivity numbers, right? Again, this is US based. Unfortunately, we don't have data in India. So most of the research are Western. So we'll have to live with it. Average turnover per employee or productivity per employee is $211,000. This is US based. So an employee generally his productivity is 211,000. And here the benchmark is IBM, right? An average IBM, his revenue per employee is $212,000. HP also 212. Amazon double or 2.5 times, $555,000 per employee. These are real numbers. These are not made up numbers. Okay. Microsoft is 745,000 employees. Revenue per employee. This is from MarketWatch. Google, my God, $1.3 billion per employee. Right? Apple is $1.85 billion per employee. Facebook is $1.9 billion per employee. So Facebook can produce the same revenue as IBM with nearly 8x fewer workers. With having 1/8 of IBM's workforce, Facebook can produce the same revenue as IBM. Facebook, when I last heard, was about 55,000 employees, and its turnover was about 1.5 billion or something more than that. Right? $150 billion. Look at this. So if you simply say per number, $212,000, it doesn't make sense unless you're going to compare it with competition. Purely saying productivity per employee in an organization doesn't make sense. An IBMer will feel proud. Oh, 212. Last year was $200,000. This year I gave a 10% increase or a 5% increase for $212,000. But where do you stand in terms of competition or in terms of benchmark? So I'm saying this, someone in HR at IBM needs to be fired. How is it that you have 8 times the employees of Facebook, but 1/8 the revenue of Facebook? Right? So recruitment or manpower, many of us put manpower data, right? What is it by department, by function, by location, by age, by this and that. By itself is of no use unless you're going to compare with competition. Any one of us doing it? Are you ever benchmarking your HR data with benchmark competition? Are we doing it?
Not exactly. Not exactly.
If not exactly, even otherwise, indirectly.
Maybe indirectly we will be doing.
We do compare only the what do you call the salary cost as a percentage of sales. That is something one data that we compare, but not on the productivity at this greater detail, Professor.
Yeah, as far as productivity is concerned, we never do that. We do on the salary basis.
Absolutely. So now you know, right? If when you go back, if you start thinking on these lines, and looking at each HR data points and variables, those high impact ones, as I told you, not every variable, those high impact 20% of your HR matrices, which are going to drive 80% of the business results, when you start looking at in these parameters, it's going to help you, right? So again, we talked about training program, right? What are the HR programs that cause this huge productivity differential, right? Boston Consulting Group has provided us with data. See, the leaders must know and focus on the highest HR impact program. This is based on BCG report, right? HR programs based on their impact on revenue and profit. These are all the this is not by order. I'll come back to that a little bit, right? Now, managing flexibility and labor cost, restructuring organization, managing work-life balance, blah 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 blah, right? Look at this. When it comes to impact on revenue and profit, recruitment has the highest in terms of revenue growth and profit margin. 3.5x impact in terms of revenue growth and 2.2x in terms of profit margin. Onboarding and retention is also high, right? So then where are you going to focus your attention next year or from tomorrow? Either a CHRO. Where do you think you'll focus your attention?
The first one, of course, which has the maximum impact on the business.
Absolutely.
Priority, yeah.
Right? You're going to focus all your attention on recruitment. When you do a 80-20 within HR, you realize that, recruitment, if I do well, it's going to give me 3x, 3.5x benefit or 80% impact to business. When revenue grows 3.5 times or the impact on revenue growth is 3.5 times, obviously you're going to get full support from business or whether in terms of employee retention, managing talent. So therefore, you all must do within your organization and try to find out which are all your functions, right, within your organization that you do in terms of HR. What is its impact in terms of revenue and profit of the organization? Okay, see this. What the CEOs are looking for, right? Somebody asked us some time back. People companies outperform market average 8 out of 10 years. There's a huge gap, 10x difference between companies. People companies outperform market average. There's a 10x difference when it comes to people. So if you adopt a people first organization and leverage people as a competitive advantage, chances are you're going to outlive competition 8 out of 10 years, and you're also going to outlive them 10 times. And that's why you saw Google, right? And Facebook. What is their employee productivity when compared to IBM? It's mind boggling. So these are the factors, right? Increase business results. Workforce analytics, as per Harvard Business Review, conclude that advanced use of workforce analytics produce 65% in terms of profitability, increase in performance, 65% in terms of growth, and 64% improvement in productivity. So good workforce analytics program helps you in terms of increasing profitability, in terms of growth, and in terms of productivity. This is what the CEO is looking for. So another interesting, if we have time, we will do this activity. You should use what is called as a stop 10 metric components that drive CEOs to act, right? You should have a stoplight icon to show the need for action. I'll show you an example a little later. What is the strategic goal that is impacted as a result of this HR initiative or metrics? How do I convert that problem into dollars? Then how do I provide a forward-looking metrics or provide predictive analytics? Can I have a visual trend line rather than just numbers? Provide comparison numbers for each. We'll go through an example. An executive want to know why, what the root cause problems, what are the prescribed solutions and the likely success rates, who are the people who are accountable for it, and how do you distribute the rank metrics widely to get it noticed. So this is how we're going to, when you come up with the metrics, you're going to address all these 10 points. Let's see this. Look at this. So the example is an actionable predictive analytics display, right? The metrics you're talking about is HR metrics time to fill. Now everybody, you ask any HR guy, he is very proud of this. In terms of recruitment, what is the time to fill? That's a metric you're talking about. Look at this revenue impact from no action. If I don't fill that position, $4.1 million lost to the company. And what's the impact? The time to market, right? For me to address that particular market is going to get impacted, and I'm also going to incur a loss of $4.1 million if I don't take action. Look at this. This month, time to fill was 80 days. And I got this graph. Projected time to fill is going to be 99 days within 4 months. And you know what? Last year was 68 days. So I'm behind last year by 22%. And the best in the industry was 29 days. We are 51 days behind competition. What's the reason? Managers' workload is slowing interview scheduling. Sir, what can I do, sir? I got Google has got 13 stages of recruitment, so I'm copying Google. I've got now 7 stages of recruitment, and each stage of recruitment is taking time. And therefore, instead of 68 days last year, now I've got 80 days because managers don't have time to interview. Is this an often excuse all of us have? That the interviewing managers are not available. So what should HR do? Cut delays with after our remote video interviews. Use Zoom. Use panel interview. And then increase your success rate. And who is accountable individual? Same thing, the staffing manager. So this way, if you go put up this way, if you're able to put up your matrices and then ask for support, simply going, otherwise you're going to. I remember I used to be working for an organization, and every week when you used to have the leadership meeting, I used to be, like standing in terms of a firing range, and people are firing at me. That time I was not an expert on HR analytics. But now if I'm able to go and present the data saying that, boss, the problem is it's not HR which is the cause for the reason, it is because the managers are not able to attend interviews. And therefore I want your support. We collectively work together and say, okay, either we cut down the number of interviews, from 7 to 6 or 5, or we sit to do a panel interview, or we say, okay, do a no face-to-face interview, let's do a video interview after office hours or on holidays, and therefore bring down the turnaround time. Then you're going to get support from business, and then you will be able to solve this particular problem. So this is how we are going to use an actionable predictive analytics, and this is how you're going to present it to business. Does this make sense for you all? You think you can do this? Have you tried this?
Yes, sir.
When you say yes, have you tried it, or you think it makes sense, or you think it's doable?
No, sir, we have not tried it, but we will be trying it.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is just one metric, simple metrics, how you can analyze it and present it to business. And therefore, you can come up with predictive analytics. Another one is, the flight retention and the flight risks. There are softwares available to you which throws this up. Who are the person you're going to lose? The ones with the reds are the ones you're going to lose. Now, thanks to software, thanks to algorithms, thanks to technology, you can now see it very clearly who are the people. The red is the ones going to lose, right? So the tenure, the time between promotions, the market demand, these are all the variables which Professor Desa was saying. So if you know all these variables and are able to track and monitor them, then you can try and predict what is going to be the future. So these are these CEOs who want metrics if they know their cost or their impact on productivity and innovation. Right? Look at this. What are some of the major failures in HR processes? We take a lot of pride in hiring. What is the percentage of all new hires who fail within 18 months? This is leadership IQ research data. 46%, this is of course largely Western world, 46% of new hires fail within 18 months. Therefore, the quality of hire, not switch premium, not turnaround time. What is the percentage of hourly employees quit or fired within the 6 months? What we call as infant mortality. Metric says that 50% of hourly employees quit or are fired within the first 6 months because of bad hire. Right? What percentage of new management hires fail within 18 months? It's very high, 40 to 60%. That's why you find a lot of CEOs get fired in 3 years. The average tenure of CEOs in America is about 3.5 years. In most organizations, other than of course a big five. Right? What percentage of new executives fail within 18 months? 50%. All these are research data. So the cost of a quality of hire, for bad hire, you can imagine the impact it's got on organizations. But instead, what do? We mostly focus on just pure numbers in terms of turnaround time, in terms of cost of hire, in terms of switch premiums, number of hires. But we have to start looking at this, then it's going to attract the attention of business. Does anyone correlate new hire performance, new hires with performance? Is anyone doing that? And tracking it on a yearly basis and looking at the trend over a 3-year period?
We do it quarterly for the first year. After that, no, that goes into normal cycle. We don't do it specifically for new hires beyond 12 months.
Okay, but what do you do with the data? Okay, you generate that report, but what do you do with the data?
On the data, if there are any specific issues that come out with the performance of a new hire, then we do have sessions with them to understand what is the cost for poor performance and support them in, in improving the performance. Nothing beyond that.
Yeah.
Sir, we are at company. We generally new hires. We put them on probation for 1 year.
Okay. You see here, within 18 months they fail. 46% of them, right? 50% of them, their blue collar work was hardly. So you don't have time. So the quality of hires, what I'm trying to say is the quality of hire is very, very important. And as remember when I first started off 3 hours back, I said, if you can't measure it, you can't control it. If you can't control it, you can't manage it. If you can't manage it, you can't innovate or improve on it. Right? So therefore, we must be able to capture data very early to find out whether the quality of hire is good. Recruitment may look good in HR function, but somewhere else we may look bad. So that's why CEO cares about metrics that demonstrate HR failures because of the failed hiring process. So Six Sigma talks about 6 failures in a million transaction. We're talking about 46% failure, 50% failure, 40% failure, 50% failure. What's going to happen to the credibility of HR? Now you know why business and management thought leaders are talking about HR is dead or the death of HR and all this because of this. Because many of our HR processes There's a very high failure rate, right? You may think that I'm pessimistic or, but I'm talking to you based on data. Corporate Leadership Council is one of the biggest research organizations in the world when it comes to people and HR. Harvard Business Review, all of you all know. Similarly, Leadership IQ is one of the biggest research and consulting firms in leadership in the world. They are saying this 46% of the time we fail when it comes to new hires. So that's the reason why recruitment is top on the priority. And if you do a good job, 3x is going to be the impact on revenue and 2x is going to be the impact on profitability. You know what? Most of the time, I'm in academia now, but I used to work corporate. When I used to go to the campus and hire people. Every employee, every student wants to become an HR business partner. Nobody wants to go into operations or recruitment. Recruitment is the second last, and operations is the last. People who end up in recruitment most of the time, not the best of the talent. They have no other go, they need a job, or you have no other, you push them into recruitment. So now whom are you going to deploy in recruitment? Based on this data? You are deploying your best talent into recruitment? Okay. I think maybe we're getting a bit tired. I agree. So what I'll do is I have a little more to cover. We'll cover it tomorrow. No problem about that. I realize the time is 1 o'clock and it's been a long day today. We will close it at this time and we'll meet tomorrow at 9 a.m. Is that okay, Raj and others, or do you want to continue, or we'll close it?
Sir, I have a question. Hello. I'm Dr. Priyanka from HAL.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, ask me.
Where we hired engineers, design engineers, and those design engineers, suppose in 2 years they leave the organization. How we are going to measure their impact on the business, especially for R&D center? Because we face this practically in our company, where new engineers resigned after 2 years or 3 years of their recruitment. But generally R&D center, they have a like they are in prototype development. They don't actually generate or any revenue for the organization. So in that case, how we are going to use this matrix for such recruitment or attrition?
Right, interesting. Somebody, can you put on mute? Somebody is on. Yeah, see, it's a good, interesting question. So what we can do there is, one is find out whether the project was executed on time, right? If your new hires who have been hired to design in the R&D are quitting within 2 years, I'm sure it's going to have an impact on the project completion date. One is you can look at what has been the project completion date under normal circumstances, and now as a result of these people quitting, what has been the change, right? Normally you used to complete it on time. This time you got a project overrun of by 20 days or 1 month or 2 months. And then you can say as a result, you can convert that overrun or delay in terms of how it affected the sales in going into the market, and therefore how much of revenue you lost. That is one way you can do, right? Second way you can look at it. You got it, the first one, Priyanka?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What was the opportunity lost because of project delay? And then converted a delay into money, because if I had that product early, I could have gone to market early. If I had gone to market early, so much of revenue I was generated. So therefore, as a result of this, this was a loss to the company. Second one you can also look at is in terms of the patents, right? How many patents or how many innovations or how many improvements have been able to generate. Now, if because of attrition, your patents have come down, or your number of new product developments have come down, or your number of product going to market has come down, or new product introduction to market, okay, or in terms of product improvement, whether in terms of quality or in terms of cost or in terms of delivery, can measured in these parameters and then attributed to attrition of people leaving? Very interesting question. I have currently working for a company consulting the same problem. I went and realized that they were hiring people from campus, bright engineering graduates, best of engineering graduates, paying them only 3.5 lakhs, and then saying 2 years of bond for them, and then after 1 year they increase them by 10%, so 3.8 lakh, and then after 2 years they say because of COVID no increments for you, and then suddenly they got 24% attrition. So when I told them, boss, you need to increase their salary or beyond market, they didn't listen. But then when they come and then say, because of this, see, you got 24% attrition, and therefore they're not able to deliver on time to customer, and it's got a cost overrun. Customers deployed penalty on them, and then we are able to quantify the loss to the company. And then now when I go and tell them that 3.5 lakhs starting salary is too low, you have to increase your salary to 4.5 lakhs, they're getting business support.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Maybe, oh my God, it's over consumed all of us. Let's sleep over this tonight, and tomorrow we'll meet and then just talk a little bit of this before we go into the next sessions, right? So,
Right. Thank you, Ranjan. These slides, you have the link already shared with the participants.
no, you can share it. Raj, you can share it with the participants.
Okay. So I will share these slides. I will
Only
share the video.
only share today's slides. Don't show
Yeah.
all. Every day we'll share whatever we shared.
Okay.
Yes,
I think,
so we need today's slide only. Today's slide.
We'll
yes.
share.
Okay, sir. Okay.
So I will share a link with everybody with the
Right.
recording. I think maybe in a couple of hours' time, once it is downloaded from Zoom. All right. And we'll see everybody join in again tomorrow morning, 9 a.m.
Yes,
Shall
sir.
we log out for
Yes,
today?
sir.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you,
for
Thank you
Ranjan,
joining.
so
sir.
much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Rajan,
Thank
sir.
you so much.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank you.